wisdom and goodness, has appointed the office of rulers and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of men and women, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have called to the performance of important trusts in these islands. Father, let your blessing descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of these islands and of those whose interest you have committed to our charge. And this we beg in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us all evermore. Amen. Please be seated. Confirmation of minutes. Senator Michelle Simmons, Vice President, you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam President
Good morning
and
to you.
fellow senators. Also, good morning to the listening audience. Madam President, I move that consideration of the minutes of the meeting of Wednesday, the 22nd of June, 2022, be taken as read.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Madam President, I move that the minutes of Wednesday, the 22nd of June, 2022, be confirmed.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection. The minutes are confirmed. Thank you, Senator Michelle Simmons, Vice
Thank
President.
you.
Item number 3, messages.
No messages, Madam President.
Thank you. Item number 4, reports of committees. There are none. Item number 5, announcements. We have a couple of announcements. The first one, is the annual report of the Ombudsman for Bermuda of the year 2021. Senators, I hereby present the report that has been received from the Ombudsman, and you can access the report on your calendars. The second announcement is the Consumer Affairs Annual Report for the period the 1st of January 2019, and that's in the name of Senator the Honorable Dr. E.G.V. Peets, spokesperson on legal affairs and leader in the Senate, government leader in the Senate. You have the floor.
Madam President, I hereby present for the information of the Senate the Consumer Affairs Annual Report for the period January 1st, 2019 to December 31st, 2021, and the Legal Aid Office Annual Report for the fiscal years 2020 to 2022. Senators may access copies of the reports on their tablets and or the Parliament website. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Peets. And I believe the next announcement is also in your name. Oh, you've done them both. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Peets. Item number 6, notices of motion, there are none. Item number 7, petitions, there are none. Item number 8, statements. The first statement is in the name of Senator O.K. Darrow, the Junior Minister for Public Works. Senator Darrow, you have the floor.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, today I bring to the attention of this honorable chamber the successful training of 35 Bermudians within the horticultural industry through the partnership between the Exceptional Skills Development Program, run by Mr. Roger Paris and his team, the Department of Parks, and the Kingston Morwood College. Madam President, for 7 years now, the Skills Development Program has provided a safe environment to host hands-on training opportunities for young people interested in the horticultural industry by empowering participants with life skills and enhance their opportunities to qualify for employment. To date, this initiative has successfully trained over 150 participants. 3 years ago, in 2019, the board of the Skills Development Program approached the Bermuda Department of Parks to potentially develop the program further. In October 2019, representatives of the Department of Parks and the Skills Development Program traveled to Kingston Morwood College, located in Dorset, United Kingdom, who specializes in land-based studies to develop and deliver a series of training programs on island. Through this partnership last week, the Skills Development Program had just concluded a 5-day free training course in horticulture and arboriculture to locals within the industry, conducted by expertly qualified staff who traveled from Kingston Morwood College in the UK. 35 out of 35 trainees successfully completed this course to improve their respective skill sets and received their KMC certificate to demonstrate their proficiency. Madam President, last week, I had the privilege of presenting the certificates at the awards ceremony. And I must say, Madam President, to see the faces beaming with pride was very, very refreshing. With this certification, it is anticipated that these individual opportunities for educational scholarships and/or employment will increase. These participants are from various entities, including, but not limited to, the Skills Development Program, the Youth Program, connected with Skills Development, the Corporation of Hamilton, the Bermuda Land Development Corporation, the Port Royal Golf Course, as well as Gibbons Gardens. Madam President, the training program was divided into 2 separate courses, both with advanced courses and basic courses over the 5-day period. The basic courses primarily consisted of those individuals with little to no knowledge of the industry, while the advanced courses trained persons with experiences to update their techniques. The first course offered was the Introduction to Chainsaw Operations, which included safe operation, chainsaw maintenance, felling, which is cutting down of trees, and cross-cutting, cutting across the main grain or axis of a tree. The other courses offered was an introduction to practical horticultural skills, in which attendees were taught how to work safely while demonstrating industry's best practice in land cultivation, soil for sowing or planting, applying organic mulch, caring for a planted area, identifying plants and shrubs, and pruning techniques. Madam President, it should be noted that there has been a large surge in the demand from other entities requesting to be included in any future training events. Feedback for this program was overwhelmingly positive. There was great enthusiasm from those who have just completed the course and have expressly shared a keen interest to participating in the future. Because of this response, it is envisioned that the horticultural training program and partnership will continue in the foreseeable future. Madam President, while in Bermuda, the KMC staff also met with the Department of Education's team responsible for the implementation of the Signature School program, as well as the team at the Mid-Atlantic Wellness Institute. Both entities were highly impressed with the information provided by the college's staff and have indicated their interest in a partnership with this program. Madam President, I also share the same sentiments as the substantive minister in his statement in the Honorable House last Friday, in stating that these are the types of programs that this government supports. Thank you to the Skills Development Program Board, comprised of Mr. Roger Paris, Ms. Cindy Young, Ms. Anna Fulton, Mr. James Gibbons, Ms. Melody Paris, Mr. Tamar Richards, and Mr. Clarence Santucci. Thank you to the training team of Ms. Joanna Jeffrey, Mr. James Colville, Ms. Steph Addison, and Mr. Nigel Hewish from the Kingston Morwood College, who traveled to our island to share their expertise. I'd also like to thank all of the technical officers in the Department of Parks for providing opportunities to those in the local horticultural industry to improve their skills. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Darrell, Junior Minister for Public Works. The second statement is in the name of Senator Lindsay K. Simmons, Junior Minister for Social Development and Seniors. Senator Simmons, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I am delighted to inform the honorable members and the public of the recent launch of a landmark partnership between the United Nations, UN, and the government of Bermuda. The signing of this partnership agreement took place on Monday, the 27th of June, 2022. and the Minister of Social Development and Seniors signed the agreement on behalf of the government and its people. This, I will repeat, this is the first ever partnership of its kind in Bermuda. We are now embarking on a new chapter of collaboration between the United Nations and Bermuda that will benefit Bermuda's people directly. Madam President, this joint UN development program entitled Building Back Equal Through Innovative Finances for Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment is being implemented in Bermuda with the assistance of the United Nations Women, UN Women, and the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, and funded by the United Nations Joint Sustainable Development Goal, SDG Fund. This joint program is approximately a $1 million investment across two countries, Bermuda and Bahamas. However, Madam President, this project is expected to be the catalyst for millions of dollars in additional investments to support the island's achievements in the targeted areas of sustainable development. Madam President, many in the community may be aware of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which are set in 17 interconnected goals, referred to as Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. These goals were adopted by the United Nations members states in 2015 and is underscored in a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and to improve the lives of prospect of everyone, everywhere. The United Nations SDG agenda is committed to leave no one behind. Madam President, this joint program supports Bermuda Economic Recovery Plan post-COVID-19 by diversifying Bermuda's economy through supporting growth of new opportunities. Its focus on empowering women, youth, and persons with disabilities to engage in key economic sectors such as agriculture, culture, and creative industries. Micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, and sustainable tourism. It is intended that this joint program will enable Bermuda to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals, but in particular, Goal number 5, gender equality, Goal number 8, decent work and economic growth, and Goal number 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Madam President, the UN Bermuda program intends to provide a mix of solutions to assist Bermuda to build back equal post-COVID-19, but become a best practice example that will showcase innovative financial vehicles, digital platforms, and the woman empowerment principles can be leveraged to successfully close the financial gap that females and youth entrepreneurs face. The program will provide opportunities to entrepreneurs to access additional capital and reduce risks. Madam President, the joint program aligns also with the government's national priorities and its commitment and advances gender affairs, uphold the government's obligations to the Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination, CEDAW, and supports the government's directions on moving beyond the pandemic in context of rebuilding Bermuda's economic recovery from COVID-19. Madam President, on June 27, 2022, the program was launched at the Guadalupe Beach Resort. This event was distinguished with culture touches of Bermuda, performances from youth and women, and supported by the presence of the iconic Royal Bermuda Regiment and the Gombeys. Amongst theirs in attendance was Her Excellency the Governor, the Honorable Member Tanae Furbert, the Honorable Speaker of the House, the Honorable Member Pete, Honorable Member Hayward, First Lady Madam Burt, myself, and Senator Hudson. At the launch, the speakers included the head of the UN delegations, Dr. Gary Conneal, resident coordinator. Remarks were provided by Ms. Lisa Kerbill, head of the Secretariat, United Nations Joint SGD Fund. He was supported by Ms. Tony Ann Broadber, representative of the UN Multicultural Office, Caribbean. Robert Almeida, managing partner of Portland Private Equality, and Ms. Denise Antonio, UNDP resident representative for Jamaica, Belize, Bermuda, Cayman Island, the Bahamas, and the Turks and Caicos Islands. There was a presentation provided by Bermuda's Ann Mackenzie Tuckett of Girl and Power. The 5 officials of the UN were supported by of a highly skilled specialist. Madam President, Bermuda became a signature of the Multi-Country Sustainable Development Corporation Framework, MSDCF, agreement at the Cabinet Office with Acting Premier, the Honorable Diala Rabin, JPMP, and the Honorable Minister Tanay Furbet, JPMP, presented at this event. The multi-country framework allows the UN to engage Bermuda more efficiently while leveraging enterprise across the UN agencies, funds, and programs, which is the first of Bermuda's history. Madam President, on Tuesday, the 28th of June, 2022, the UN delegation held stakeholders engagements throughout the day that allowed attendees to learn more about the Joint SDG Fund program and its opportunities. Attendees included staff from government agencies and representatives from the arts, banking, business, culture, educational, environmental, financial, legal, youth, and sports sectors, to name a few. The ministry anticipates that over this 2-year period, there will be more opportunities for holding further stakeholder engagement. The ministry remains committed to updating the public on the development of this program in the future. Madam President, the next steps will be to conduct an assessment of innovative finances for gender equality and the impact of COVID-19. As you may know, Madam President, our island's economy has been severely impacted by COVID-19 pandemic. The GDP was expected to contract about 9% in 2022, and the sectors such as tourism and hospitality have seen a profound downturn. Madam President, the unemployment rate, which was estimated at 3.8% in November 2019, has more than doubled to 7.9% by the end of 2022. Youth unemployment rate increased significantly, jumping from 18.8% in 2019 to 32.1% in 2021. Furthermore, Madam President, women reported considerably higher rates of unemployment, with 3,250 women reported underemployment compared to 1,727 men. Madam President, the United Nations Secretary Antonio Guterres recognized the unique vulnerabilities that pose a threat to the small island, which can easily derail their development, regardless of a country's income classification. As a small island, Bermuda, like other small islands, there are factors that climate change, natural hazards, and pandemics that will continue to exacerbate gender inequalities, socioeconomic vulnerabilities, and risk of reversing strong development gains. Madam President, through this partnership, the United Nations will support Bermuda's resilient and advanced sustainable development with program approaches which seek to leave no one behind. Madam President, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the UN contingent of Mr. Robert Ameldo, Managing Partner of Portland Private Equity. I would also like to thank the hardworking team of the Ministry of Social Development and Seniors, who partnered with the UN team, headed by Permanent Secretary Ms. Marva Jean O'Brien, Ms. Kalita Pitcher, Ms. Alicia Lister, and Mr. Gabriel Broom. Further, I would like to thank the protocol team of Mr. Gilbert Rowland, Ms. Carol Hayward, Mr. Brandon Souza, and Ms. Tracy Wilkinson. The communication team of Ms. Alicia Trott, Ms. Tina Evans, and Ms. Dana Selassie. I would like these participants who made these two-day events such a success: Image Dance Skills, Ms. Tiffany Fox of Stream Collective, Mr. Zane Hendrickson and H&H Gumbe Troop, Mr. Marcel Deal, 5 Star Transportation Service Limited, Wanderlust Explorers Limited, and Mr. Dean Paris. I would like to thank all the attendees who were at the launch and the stakeholder engagement. Madam President, I would especially like to thank Minister Tanay Furbet for her dedication and hard work to see this landmark launch of Bermuda and the United Nations Economic Partnership come to fruition. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Lindsey Simmons, Junior Minister for Social Development and Seniors. The next statement is in the name of Senator Owen K. Darrell, the Junior Minister for Education, preparations for the introduction of signature learning programs. Senator Darrell, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise this morning Madam President, I rise this morning to inform my Senate colleagues and the general public about the exciting work that continues in support of education reform, and more specifically about the introduction of signature learning programs in September 2022 for our two senior schools, the Barclay Institute and Cedar Bridge Academy. This will be the first time ever for our students, a first time ever for our schools, and a first time ever for Bermuda. A milestone indeed, and we are proud of the work that has been undertaken to date. Madam President, the last time I provided an update on signature school learning programs for our senior schools was about 2 months ago. Since then, the work has intensified. Madam President, this morning I want to share with my fellow senators the education reform work during the past weeks as it relates to the experience of our students, professional learning days for our school staff, new school transformation teams, and good governance. Quite a bit, Madam President, but as I said, the work has intensified. However, it has also proven to be a work of excellence. First, let me start with the experience of our students. In the previous statement I read in May of this year, I shared that in September of 2022, incoming S1 students entering the Barclay Institute and the Cedar Bridge Academy will be educated in a way that has never been done before. The incoming S1 students will, in addition to their core curriculum, have access to a signature curriculum which is relevant for our children, for Bermuda, and globally. Our S1 students will experience a model of teaching and learning which incorporates authentic, real-world learning experiences and meaningful projects attentive to the differing needs of each and every child. The graduation requirements will ensure that children who leave with the Bermuda School Signature School Diploma have the necessary experience, skills, knowledge, values, and relationships to take up jobs or apprenticeships in their chosen professional trade and contribute to the requirements for entry into colleges and universities. Madam President, I'm very pleased to share that all of the prerequisite work that prepare us for a successful launch in September 2022 is on solid ground. The Board of Governors and the school leaderships of both senior schools have confidently stated that they are ready to receive young people in September 2022 and provide them with 21st century learning experiences and opportunities. Madam President, every journey worth taking begins with the critical starting point to get to the end goal. There has been a journey for the adults in the education system to help us achieve our desired future state. I have shared on many occasions the work of the adults in the system transformation. Madam President, it is equally important for senators to understand the student experience in this journey, to get them ready to select their desired signature learning program that supports their passion and interest. In preparation for September 2022, programming was created to engage current M3 students and parents in a taster program that took them through a journey of self-reflection into their own passions and interest, and exposure to the opportunities and careers of the signature learning programs on offer at our two senior schools. Through regular communication and sharing of resources and activities with the M3 teams and families, conversations and research into the various signature tracks went beyond the classroom. At home, parents were able to talk with their children about the opportunities ahead. Madam President, the involvement of parents engaging their children at home was critical. In the end, the response to the program from both educators and students was very positive. Educators found it particularly helpful for the young people to have an opportunity to discuss their talents, their interests, their values, passions, and strengths, and learn more about who they are as an individual. For the students, there was an excitement at how their current interests could translate into a wide range of career options. In fact, the process was most inspiring for some. Madam President, let me share some comments made by some of our M3 students that's extremely encouraging. One M3 student stated, "This made me want to look into going away to university, which I was unsure about before. Another M3 student shared, by doing a taster, I found out some new things about myself that led to interest in new careers. This was very helpful as I was able to learn new things about digital marketing, sales manager, interior design, which all interest me. Yet another M3 student shared, prior to the taster program, I had my mind made up that I was going to do a particular career. However, the program opened my eyes to different career paths. This comment encapsulates the ultimate goal of our young people, and it pertains to the process of selecting their signature pathway. Madam President, a longer, more comprehensive taster program is currently under development. The positive and constructive feedback that we have received from our students has allowed the school choice team to refine the work for the next set of M3 students. Madam President, as a result of the collective hard work of the staff of the Department of Education, the School Choice Working Group, I'm pleased to celebrate that out of approximately 300 incoming S1 students enrolled for September 2022, over 90% have selected a signature learning track. The remaining students, while having selected a general track, will still be immersed in the new features of learning and schooling. Madam President, I will now share about the professional learning days for school staff. In May of this year, the Ministry of Education announced that early school closure for the 21-22 school year. The rationale being to continue to engage each and every teacher across the island in professional learning on the features of our transformed system. The continued transformation of our school system is a complex and challenging undertaking that requires the engagement of every educator. The extra 3 days at the end of the term allowed our schools to work with undivided attention, ensuring that we are even more prepared for the next design of the implementation phase. Madam President, our currently established senior school signature transformation teams and subject teachers had the opportunity to refine and finalize curriculum scheduling and other features for the signature learning programs in September of 2022. At the same time, the remaining senior staff members were engaged in a professional learning communities where they gained more insight into the major features of signature learning that have been under development for the last 2 years. Madam President, simultaneously, our preschools, primary schools, and middle schools engaged in professional learning to expand their knowledge around high-impact teaching strategies. Over the 3 days, they took the opportunity to determine implementations to these best practices in their buildings when school commences in September of 2022. Additionally, our 2 new Paris primary school transformation teams, along with their entire school staff, work rigorously to begin development of our transformed parish primary schools, set to be opened in September of 2023. Madam President, I will now expand a bit more on the new school transformation teams. The Ministry of Education has now onboarded the second wave of school transformation teams to participate in the designing, prototyping, and implementation of new models of teaching, learning, and schooling for September 2023. These school transformation teams will bring together education professionals, parents, business, and community members who are passionate about redesigning Bermuda's public schools to best prepare young people for a purposeful and thriving future. Madam President, I'm pleased to share that we received nearly 100 expressions of interest from educators and community members to work towards transforming our first set of parish primary schools at Purvis Primary and Francis Patton school sites, and designing our next signature school to implement hospitality and tourism and education services tracks. The past few weeks of onboarding and the early stages of designing and co-creating has set the stage for development of this next phase of transformation. Madam President, the last topic I want to share is governance. Research shows that lessons from high-performing education systems look beyond teaching and learning to focus on ensuring the policy, governance, and operational systems are in place to ensure the success of all educators. Plan 2022 recognized and called for a review of the system's current structure, and Bermuda First called for the introduction of an education authority in their 2019 Future State Report. Madam President, there needs to be good governance to sustain and support reform. Governance that has the independence to be flexible and agile in ensuring that the needs of Bermuda's children, economy, and community are best and efficiently served. We all acknowledge that the relationships of schools and the school boards with the Ministry and the Department of Education are not and have not been as free-flowing as we would like. The establishment of the Education Authority will be the opportunity to reset, renew, and clarify these relationships. We need to learn from the past and create a better future. Madam President, an education authority is needed to make public education more nimble and more responsive. The authority will be responsible for all aspects of public education in Bermuda and hold a dual focus of equity and accountability. Madam President, the work to create an education authority and continue towards education reform and school transformation is well underway. Currently, the Education Authority Working Group is creating the framework for what the Education Authority will look like. They are currently receiving feedback from the Department of Education, existing school boards, and other relevant stakeholders. The working group will continue to meet and collect data to help formalize the proposals as we move forward. Madam President, some of the critical action steps taken have been meeting with the schools to understand the strengths and weaknesses of the current school boards, scanning governance arrangements in some high-performing systems with some characteristics of the Education Authority, reviewing research on the governance and leadership of successful 21st century learning systems, reviewing relevant private and government acts and memorandum of understanding between the Ministry of Education and aided schools, exploring management structures and practices in the 21st century learning systems, and developing and agreeing on revised rules and responsibilities for school boards. Madam President, the Education Authority Working Group has much work ahead and is progressing steadily to see this government structure come to fruition for our public school system. In closing, Madam President, and casting my mind back over the past 28 months, the transformative work has been challenging, fast-paced, and rigorous, with little time for rest for those involved in the education reform. At this time, I'd like to extend my gratitude and appreciation to everyone who has committed and participated collaboratively in co-designing and learning experiences of excellence that we have in place for our young people. I await September 2022 with great anticipation to see our young people start a journey of exploration and growth as they experience our first ever signature learning programs. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Owen Darrell, the Junior Minister of Education. We do have a fourth statement, Senators, and that is in the name of Senator Ariana Hudson, the Junior Minister for Finance. Senator Hudson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I am pleased to provide an update on the government's financial performance for fiscal year 2021-2022, which highlights continued signs of a strengthening economy despite the considerable challenges we continue to face as a country. As highlighted in previous statements, the revised estimate produced following the onset of COVID-19 anticipated a deficit of $245.5 million for the fiscal years 2020-2021. However, once the actual results were tabulated, the deficit for the 2020-2021 year stood at $184.2 million, showing a $61.3 million improvement from original estimates. Madam President, the following fiscal year, 2021-2022, original estimates presented in the budget statement anticipated a budget deficit of $125 million. When the 2022-2023 budget statement was presented, the updated forecast indicated that revenues had increased by approximately $31.5 million to $1.03 billion, with expenditures estimated to increase slightly for an updated deficit of $117 million. As additional information has now become available, estimates have been further adjusted to reflect a further $32 million increase in revenues and a corresponding $8 million increase in expenditure. Therefore, compared to the original 2021-2022 estimates as presented in the 2021-2022 budget, the updated 2021-2022 forecast anticipates an overall $30 million improvement in the deficit to $95 million, with the revenues estimated to be $63 million higher than initially forecasted and overall expenditures of $32 million, of which $21 million was unanticipated COVID-related expenses. For the current fiscal year, notwithstanding anticipated losses in revenues from the aircraft registry due to the fallout from the Russia-Ukraine war, the government's updated revenue estimates, relating primarily to better than anticipated cruise and hotel occupancy levels, project that the government will still be able to meet our deficit target. This updated forecast is encouraging given the war's severe impact on global economies. Madam President, as the information provided above highlights, we are in a better financial position than anticipated in February when Bermuda's national budget was presented. The increases in revenues in key areas such as stamp duty, corporate service tax, and vehicle license fees, as well as immigration receipts, have been significant. In addition, the government received approximately $5.5 million from the BMA, part of their operating surplus, that had not been included in our revised budget estimates. Expenditures have remained broadly in line with the revised February estimates, although up from our initial estimates in areas such as COVID expenditure, urgent capital expenditures, including additional funds for urgent repairs at Tynes Bay, and $20 million additional dollars due to Skyport for the minimum revenue guarantee that this government inherited from the former administration. Madam President, the prudent fiscal management policy this government has committed to and followed since its election in 2017 continues to be a positive factor for this economy. We committed to reducing the budget deficit and moving towards a balanced budget. Our 2019 projection saw us with a deficit of only $7.4 million. However, the failed Morgan's Point project inherited by the former administration and the unexpected onset of the global COVID-19 pandemic required us to take significant measures. These measures not only protected the health and well-being of our residents, but also provided relief and financial support to Bermudians, as evidenced by the unemployment benefit payments of up to $500 per week to over 10,000 residents severely impacted by the fallout from this pandemic. Madam President, despite the challenging period, we also took steps to mitigate somewhat the financial and economic impact of this awful scourge which affected so many people around the globe. Thus, as noted above, with a projected deficit of $245.5 million, our ultimate position at the end of March 2021 was $184.2 million. Throughout the 2021-2022 fiscal year, the government continued to prudently manage expenditures while taking specific actions to build the revenue base for both the short and the long term through the delivery of Bermuda's economic recovery plan. The impact of those actions can be seen as our updated estimates anticipate a lower deficit than expected just 4 months ago. The development of the economic recovery plan was a recognition that in light of the challenges caused by COVID, we needed to take specific action to ensure financial stability and growth. Madam President, Bermuda has enjoyed significant benefits over the years from the work that has built a world-class insurance industry based in Bermuda. The contributions made by this sector to our economy are well documented. In fact, during the pandemic, the resilience of this sector helped to support the economy and offset the significant damage done to the tourism and hospitality sectors. Initially, Bermuda's focus was on the captive insurance market, and then we expanded to develop a significant property and casualty market. More recently, we have seen considerable growth in specialty insurers and the long-term insurance market, which has been beneficial to Bermuda. However, as part of our economic strategy to grow our economy in a prudent and considered way, we have already started expanding into other sectors to diversify our revenue base. Bermuda, recognizing the opportunities that could exist in the digital asset space, we built an infrastructure that would attract digital asset businesses that wish to be based in a jurisdiction with a robust regulatory regime and encouraged innovation. That sector has already seen significant growth, as Bermuda now has 15 licensed digital asset businesses, with more companies in the pipeline. Additionally, there are currently 7 licensed innovative insurers in Bermuda who are leading the charge as we witness the beginning of convergence between traditional insurance and digital finance. As we continue to expand our international business sector and see continued growth in existing and new industries, we are experiencing positive results in our economy. For example, jobs have grown in the international business sector by 10% over the last 2 years, increasing from 4,020 jobs to 4,411, with the majority of the additional positions being filled by Bermudians. Madam President, a few of us had the opportunity to join the Premier and Minister of Finance as he visited 2 new companies in Bermuda who in the previous 2 years have employed 19 Bermudians with plans to expand their office staff further. These new jobs are concrete proof that our economic diversification strategy is delivering positive results for Bermudians. The results of the successful execution of the strategy are reflected in our better-than-expected revenue numbers that I share with honorable members today. Madam President, Bermuda's strong performance and the decisive and prudent actions taken by the government to manage a once-in-a-century pandemic have been evaluated by independent rating agencies. These agencies have maintained Bermuda's strong ratings at pre-COVID levels and have assessed Bermuda's outlook to be stable. These confirmed ratings are certainly a positive for our island and are an external validation of this government's solid and effective management of the economy. It also bodes well for the future. Madam President, the strength of the international business sector and its contributions to our economy must translate to relief for those Bermudians that are not in international business. Bermudians in all walks of life, whether employed by international business or otherwise, have contributed to the positive environment in Bermuda, allowing international companies to build successful businesses here. Therefore, we want to ensure that the benefits are shared in a way that will positively impact the lives of our residents, while continuing to ensure that Bermuda remains an excellent place to do quality business. Madam President, in the budget statement released in February 2022, it was promised that half of any amount better than budget targets would be directed towards relief to ease burdens related to Bermuda's high cost of living. This government will be true to that pledge we made in February by bringing a package that will deliver on our promise of more relief to come. Madam President, in this fiscal year, the government has already provided relief by further reducing the payroll tax paid for persons making less than $96,000 annually. We have reduced vehicle licensing fees and ensured charities could receive land tax relief. Supplemental unemployment benefits have been extended for persons significantly disadvantaged by COVID, and land tax relief has been given to registered care homes. Hotels and restaurants whose income was reduced considerably by the COVID restrictions have had their payroll tax concessions extended to help rebuild the critical tourism and hospitality sectors. We have also extended new hire relief to encourage the expansion of local and international businesses. Madam President, since the budget was delivered, this government ensured that fuel prices at the pump have been maintained at February 2022 levels, despite the significant increase in global prices, primarily due to the Russian-Ukraine war. This price freeze of gasoline saves $23 on the average-sized car tank. If it were not for the actions of this government, prices at the pump would be 25% higher today than they were in February. This action is helping families, taxi operators, tour operators, and even local businesses. The additional relief to be announced on the 15th of July will support working families by putting more money back in their pockets, support households in reducing electricity bills, and will also reduce the cost of essential food items. Madam President, as I noted in a previous statement, there are limits to the support that the government can provide, as it is vital for Bermuda's economic future that the government meets its budget targets. With global inflation set to continue for the foreseeable future and a growing number of economists predicting a recession in the world's largest economy and our largest trading partner, the United States, all residents must be wise with their spending choices. These are uncertain economic times, especially as we cope with rebuilding our economy following the coronavirus pandemic. This government will remain fiscally prudent while also delivering the relief that many Bermudians need. Madam President, it is up to all of us in this honorable House and on this island we call home to work together to ensure that Bermuda's economy works for all. The continued delivery of Bermuda's economic recovery plan has been beneficial to Bermuda, and this government will work to ensure that we do everything that we can to minimize the impact of global events on our economy while providing relief to workers to ensure this economy works for all Bermudians. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Ariana Hudson, Junior Minister for Finance. Moving on with our agenda, then, item number 9, introduction of bills. There are none. Item number 10, the first reading of public bills. The following public bills have been received from the Honorable House of Assembly and are now read for the first time. Their titles are respectively, the Bermuda Monetary Authority Amendment Act 2022 and the Criminal Code Amendment Act 2022. Item number 11, the first reading of private bills. There are none. Item number 12, question and question period. Senators, we will now entertain questions on the statements that were read this morning, the first being the statement that was given by Senator Owen Darrell, the Minister of Public Works. Would any senator care to ask questions on that statement? That is the recognition of the skills development program training. Seeing that there are, Senator Robin Tucker, you just caught my eye. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And thank you to the Junior Minister for bringing this statement before us this morning. My question to the Junior Minister is whether the skills development program, the model, which is obviously a very good one, I've been following it ever since I've, first saw it in the media, and Mr. Paris and his team are doing a fantastic job. I'm just wondering whether the SDP model has been promoted within other government departments as a way of Bermuda growing its own resources. So it seems to be a model that works. Can it not be expanded into other areas? And if it can, has it already been done so? Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Tucker. Would any other senator care to ask questions? Senator Simmons, Michelle Simmons, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. My question is regarding the persons who have expressed interest in future offers of this course. It's also related to the fact that there must have been a registration for those who took the course this time. And I see in the Junior Minister's statement that they're hoping to see an uptake in educational scholarships and employment for these persons. So I guess I really have two questions. First of all, will there be some follow-up to see that there is an uptake in educational scholarships and employment for those who have already done the course? And secondly, is government committed to continuing to bring folk in from Kingston Morwood College to provide these learning opportunities? This is an excellent program, and it's really good to see how far it's come. First of all, working with juniors, or I should say, young people who were still in high school, and now it is reaching out to people who may be underemployed or are looking to improve their skills. So I would love to hear of how there will be follow-up, because I think that this is a real winner. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Michelle Simmons. Would any other senator care to ask questions on this statement? Hearing none, then it's over to you, Senator Darrell, when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam President. I will go and answer these how in discussion that I had on Thursday when I was there. Let me ask the second question first. The desire of, as I said in my statement, of the participants, was that the program continue, it be expanded, and in particularly, most of them that were there signed a petition request almost, and they handed it to me. And it went to the Department of Public Works. And what they've asked for is for the team from the UK to come back more often and do training. Now, as everyone knows, has how budgets and everything go, I'm not sure that that is particularly feasible at every single turn. And I'm not sure if it is particularly necessary. As you would have heard in the statement, there were two different levels. One level was a kind of a basic level, and the other level was more advanced level in skills of chainsaw and other stuff, pruning and things of that nature. And what's already been happening is for the very basic level, the I guess full-time employees, the ones that did the advance, they have already been, and it will be more of this, paired up with some of the basic skills individuals. And the training could actually come from then. So the UK training individuals don't have to come through. But I will ask the question as to what the plans are as far as budgets and a time frame if we do have to bring those in. Because as you do also notice in the statement that it was not just individuals from government there. There were others. One entity that I did not see there, but I knew they do their own training, was the Royal Bermuda Regiment. Because I know they do a lot of training, even when I was there many years ago with chainsaws and that. So there is a lot of expansion that can happen. I don't have particular details as to what is in the pipeline, but I do know Mr. Roger Paris, who works really hard in this program, is very keen to keep it going at whatever level that he can. So if I get some answers back, I will answer you, but that's what I have so far. And for the first one, the skills development program model, can it be expanded? I think I don't really understand. Do you want it to be extended throughout parks or other ministries? I guess I'd.
Thank you.
Senator Tucker, that was aimed at.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I'm really asking if it can be extended anywhere within the government remit, right? Or even outside of that, because clearly we have a model that works. So surely there are other areas within government that model can be taken and planted and produce the same type of result. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay, so you're not specifically talking about this particular program. You're just talking about the model as to how it's happening. We can look into that, but I do know that as Summer is here, and I know, as I've spoke before about workforce development, they have a lot of different training programs, and a lot of them are come to the spotlight this time of year when a lot of summer students come back and they're placed in different departments, trying to just get their feet wet as to basic skills of jobs and government. So I will look into that. That's a good question. I think the head of public service may be able to answer that. So I'll shoot him a message and ask him. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Darrell, and thank you, Senators, for your question. We move on to the second statement, which is the landmark launch of the Bermuda and United Nations Economic Partnership, and that was in the name of Senator Lindsey Simmons. Would any senator care to ask questions on that statement? Senator Robin Tucker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I had the opportunity to attend a stakeholder meeting that was facilitated by the representatives from the UN Women. It was a really good meeting, and during which the participants did get an opportunity to get and give insight and had opportunity to ask questions as well. So it was really good. My question to the Junior Minister is, she spoke about the joint program, how it aligns with the government's national priorities and the commitment to advancing gender affairs. So I'm wondering whether the Junior Minister could tell us whether the government has any plans to demonstrate that commitment further in perhaps establishing a gender affairs office in Bermuda to raise awareness about gender-based issues, which include not just women, but also men. There are various gender affairs offices throughout the Caribbean, so I'm just wondering whether Bermuda will actually establish one at some point as well. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Tucker. Would any other senator care to ask questions on the second statement? Hearing none, then Senator Simmons, it's over to you.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, at this time, we're still in the early phases because we just signed. So nothing has been ruled out. So as soon as I will sit down with my minister and speak to her about your suggestion. Thank you, Senator Tucker.
There are no other questions on this statement. Thank you, senators, and thank you, Lindsay Simmons, for agreeing to look into it. And then we will consider questions for the third statement, which was in the name of Senator O.K. Darrell, and that was the preparation for the introduction of signature learning programs. Would any senator care to ask questions? Senator John White, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to thank the senator for announcing the signature learning program this morning. I was part of the Bermuda First executive in 2019 that made this recommendation to government to create this education authority that was referenced. So I'm very pleased to hear that this is proceeding forward. The creation of the education authority is one thing. The model going forward is another. So I just hope that the independent authority is left to do what they do best without the intrusion of government. So that would be my first statement. My question would be, is there a timeline for this taking effect? Because there has been a lot of work done already, as Junior Minister indicated, but I could see this dragging on and on and on without a definitive timeline as to when the expectation is that this authority will be in place with the governance model that I believe is in Bermuda's best interest. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator White. Would any other senator care to ask questions? Senator Michelle Simmons, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And thank you, Senator Darrell, for bringing this statement. I really only have one question, and that is about the difference in criteria for obtaining the Bermuda Signature School Diploma and what currently exists. So how are the criteria different for obtaining the Bermuda Signature School Diploma than what students actually aim for now, which is the Bermuda School Diploma? So that would help, I think, a lot of people understand how some positive things are happening with regard to the signature learning programs. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Michelle Simmons. Would any other senator care to speak? Senator Ben Smith, opposition leader in the Senate, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam President. I'd also like to thank the Junior Minister for bringing this forward this morning. I just have a quick question relating to the 10% of the students that would be in the general track in this upcoming September. If the Junior Minister could just give us some details on how the students that have chosen the general track will be immersed in the signature program, what the difference will be between those two programs, and will they be immersed in different parts of different signatures within the school? Just if you could give us some clarity on what that looks like. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Ben Smith. Would any other senator care to ask questions on the statement? Hearing none, we will wait a response from Senator Darrell.
Thank you, Madam President. Regarding the first question from Senator White, I kind of take exception to the specific comment about dragging on and on. When in my statement, I specifically said that the working groups of the Education Authority have already started their work. and they're putting together a plan now. And as has been the case with most everything in this transformation of education, we will be giving updates as often as possible so that the senator, as well as members of the public, can know exactly how the education authority is moving. But to say that it's dragging on and on when we have a committed group of individuals working on it, I think would be a far-fetched and inaccurate statement.
Madam President, if I could just point a clarification, I said that much work had been done. I recognize that. I said I could see this dragging on, so I wasn't saying it has been dragging on. I said it could be dragging on. So that was my reference to asking for a specific timeline. So, thank you.
Thank you, Senator White.
Thank you, Madam President. The second question from Senator Simmons. Let me get this right. She's my former principal. So she basically, I think the question, if I repeat it, was how is the criteria different from what's currently in place with the Bermuda Signature School diploma, correct? Students will be required to obtain credits from the traditional curriculum or core to graduate. Unless I'm getting those questions mixed up. Okay. Signature is then an addition to core requirements and not a replacement. So I think I'm answering your question. So there is no difference. How are students' general track going to work alongside the signatures? I think I'm coming back to your question, Ms. Senator Simmons. I'm confused at how they're coming here. So Senator Smith, there is no difference the way I'm being told, but students are required to obtain their core curriculum to graduate. Those not declaring will still be required to obtain signature credits, because signature is an addition to core requirements, not a replacement.
Senator Smith?
Yes,
have a
supplementary. of that.
Supplementary, yes.
So if somebody decides that they don't want to participate in the signature and they want to just do the general track, they still have to do signature courses.
Is that a question?
Yes.
One more time.
So if somebody has made the decision, because according to the statement, 10% of the students for the upcoming year have made the decision to not participate in the signature. I believe what you just said is that those students still have to participate in signature classes, because the way the statement read is that they would still be immersed in signature. I'm asking you, do they actually have to take signature courses, and they will be graded on signature courses even though they have opted out of the signature portion of the course?
All right, that's a perfectly good question, and if I may, Madam President, I think the questions like this and Senator Simmons' questions deserve a more detailed and proper response, rather than me sitting here and chopping and changing and try to understand it on the fly. So I will undertake to get these questions and get a proper explanation onto the difference between the two and what happens with students in the general course track and how they're working alongside students with the signature track. I have it correctly?
That would be preferable.
All right.
Senators, you accepting that? Senator Simmons?
Just a point of information. In reading the statement, it does say quite clearly that the remaining students, meaning the 10%, while having selected a general track, will still be immersed in the new features of learning and schooling. It doesn't say that they will be immersed in the signature program. Just trying to be clear.
Thank you, Senator Simmons. No further questions on that statement? All said. Thank you, Senator Darrell. Oh, Senator Lindsay Simmons?
Madam President,
have a
if you don't
comment?
mind, I have a follow-up for Senator Tucker for my statement.
Oh, yes, for the earlier statement, yes.
Yes. So the Ministry of Social Development and Seniors will be establishing a general Agenda Affairs Council. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Lindsey Simmons, for responding to that question that was asked on the second statement. Thank you. And finally, Senators, are there any questions on the statement that was given by Senator Ariana Hudson, Junior Minister of Finance? Senator Ben Smith, Opposition Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you to the Junior Minister for providing this update. Just a couple of quick questions. One from page 4, there was mention of the jobs that the international business sector has increased from 4,020 to 4,411, with majority of those jobs being Bermudian. Would the Junior Minister be able to actually give us the number of those added jobs that were actually filled by Bermudians? And my second question is from page 5 in relation to the gasoline price freeze. When you freeze prices, eventually that freeze is going to be lifted. So my question is, when can we expect the new allotment of fuel to be purchased? And when that is purchased at the rate that has been impacted by the Ukraine war, when will the population of Bermuda see that increase hit their pocketbooks? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Ben Smith. Would any other senator care to ask questions on the fourth statement? Senator John White, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Reference, and I'd like to thank the Junior Minister for bringing forward this statement. There was reference to the 10% increase in the international business employees over the last 2 years. I'd just like to ask the Junior Minister if she can provide a corresponding figure for those employees who are not in international business. So what is the change in employment over the past 2 years for those employees who are not included in international business? That's my first question. The second question is that reference was made to the aircraft registry, and I seem to recall from memory that the revenues generated from the registry were quite significant from memory, sort of the $20 to $30 million range. So if I ask the Junior Minister what the expectation is for the reduction in those revenues in light of the Russia-Ukraine war. And my third question would be, this is a very useful statement. Can the Junior Minister provide an update with roughly 500 million of government debt having to be refinanced in the next 6 months? Can she give an update on what the progress is in light of the interest rate inflation around the world? This is likely to cost Bermuda a lot more going forward. So have discussions been undertaken thus far by government to refinance that debt? So thank you, Madam President. Those are my 3 questions.
Thank you, Senator John White. Would any other senator care to ask questions? Senator Robin Tucker, I noticed her first. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And again, thank you to the Junior Minister for bringing this statement. My question is from page number 3 as it relates to unemployment benefits payments. I'm just wondering whether the Junior Minister could update us on whether there are any overpayments of unemployment benefits that still remain uncollected and what that number is. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Robin Tucker. And I believe I saw an indication from Senator DeCuto. Dr. DeCuto, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to the Senator for this important update. Some of my questions have been covered. They're clearly very important. One of the statement did state that I think licensing fee increases or increases in license fees received have helped increase the revenue. And I'm a little confused, so I'm going to seek some clarification because I believe another part of the statement also states that the government has reduced licensing fees as a benefit to the public. So I'm struggling to reconcile those two things. And I do recall from the budget that motor car licensing fees were budgeted down, which I believe was also something that the government had publicized quite widely. But what did not get raised was that motorcycle license fees were budgeted to increase about the same amount in dollars as the motor car fees were budgeted to go down. So those are sort of three data points, and I'm really trying to understand how those interact, because what it sounds like to me is overall people are paying more to government for vehicle licensing fees. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator DeCuto. Would any other senator care to ask questions on the statement? Hearing none, then Senator Hudson, it's over to you for a response.
Madam President, given the request for technical data, I would have to defer and wait until a time that I'm able to collect the relevant answers to all the questions presented this morning.
Senators, you've understood that Senator Ariana Hudson will make every effort to obtain answers to the questions you have raised, and therefore she does not have that on her answers to right now. So we will await at some future time. If it occurs before the end of the meeting, so be it. But if not, she has given an undertaking to respond to the questions. Senator Ben Smith.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I'm just wondering whether those answers will be given verbally so that the population has an opportunity to hear the answers as well as the Senate team. Thank you, Madam President.
Senator Hudson.
Madam President, I will make every effort to do so.
If the information comes before we finish today, then she will provide that. If not, well, she will let us know. Senators, that deals with the item on our agenda regarding questions to statements that have been delivered this morning. We will move on to the orders of the day. And the order of the day is the consideration of the Northeast Hamilton Local Plan 2022, together with the tribunal report on the draft Northeast Hamilton Local Plan 2021, and that is in the name of Senator Simmons, Junior Minister for Home Affairs.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that the Senate do now take under consideration the Northeast Hamilton Local Plan 2022, together with the tribunal report on the draft Northeast Hamilton Local Plan 2021, which is required to be approved by resolution of the Senate under the provisions of Section 11(8) of the Development and Planning Act 1974.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection. Carry on, Senator Lindsey Simmons.
Madam President, I move that in accordance with Section 11 of the Development and Planning Act of 1974, this Honorable House considers and approves the Northeast Hamilton Local Plan 2022. Madam President, the Northeast Hamilton Local Plan 2022, the plan has been prepared by the Department of Planning, the department, to guide land use and development within the northeastern portion of the city of Hamilton. In order to reach this stage in the process, the department has undertaken a comprehensive consultation strategy, the details of which are set out within the tribunal report which accompanies the plan. Madam President, before I provide an overview of the rationale behind the preparation of the plan and its key components, I would like to take the opportunity to inform honorable members of the overall approach to the preparation of the plan. Madam President, the traditional plan-making process in Bermuda has involved the release of a draft plan which immediately becomes operative upon publication. This means there is no formal opportunity for the public or other stakeholders to influence the content of the plan before it becomes operative. Madam President, it is my belief that such an approach devalues the importance of public consultation to the plan-making process. Whilst land use plans can be technical documents, they should also be influenced by the opinions of the people. Accordingly, I am pleased to say that the department adopted a different approach in preparation of the Northeast Hamilton Local Plan 2022 and that the draft version of the plan was released as a non-operative document. Madam President, while this seems like a subtle change to the process, I believe it is significant in sending out a message that the public consultation is an integral part of the plan-making process, and the community should be able to voice their opinion before a operative land use plan is released. Madam President, the department undertook extensive consultation with internal and external stakeholders prior to the public consultation phase of the plan. Further publicity of the plan was carried out throughout the month of July 2021 through the distribution of information leaflets, emailing of local businesses, and stakeholder meetings. Madam President, the formal public consultation phase took place between the 2nd of August and the 8th of October 2021, wherein members of public or any other interested parties had the opportunity to submit objections or representations on the content of the plan. Details of the public consultation phase were published in the official Gazette and on the department's website. In addition, the plan was highlighted by various local media outlets at key stages during the plan-making process. Furthermore, a virtual town hall was held on the 2nd of September 2021, which was shown live on government's YouTube and Facebook channels as well as CITV. This method of consultation proved to be extremely useful, with numerous questions being submitted by members of the public. A press release was also issued before the closure of the consultation period in an effort to obtain as much feedback as possible. Madam President, a total of 3 submissions were received as part of the formal public consultation phase, 1 objection and 2 representations. The department subsequently held discussions with each of the parties who made formal submissions. Following these discussions, it was confirmed that all of the cases received were to be treated as representations and not objections. This is a crucial difference, as it meant that there were no formal requests to change the content of the document. Madam President, the northeast quadrant of Hamilton is an area with a strong sense of community and culture. However, it is also an area which has experienced incremental social, economic, and environmental decline, to the extent that the character of the area differs significantly from the remainder of the city. The area is in need of investment and economic activities for the benefit of existing residents and business owners. Madam President, there are underpinning reasons why the City of Hamilton Plan 2015 states that the area has a distinct urban fabric worthy of its own plan. In preparation of the local plan for the area, the department has considered a number of different options. The driving force behind the preparation of the plan has been to establish a framework which facilitates investments in a manner which is intimately cognizant of the established characteristics of the area from both a built form and a cultural perspective. Madam President, I believe that the North Hamilton Local Plan 2022 has successfully merged these challenging factors. Madam President, the overreaching vision of the plan is to realize Northeast Hamilton's sustainable economic potential in a manner which is cognizant of the established environment, sense of community, and the culture importance of the neighborhood. Madam President, in order to realize this vision, the plan sets flexible policy framework which affords greater decision-making discretion to the Development Application Board. Madam President, the plan offers no distinctive design parameters in an attempt to facilitate innovative and contemporary forms of architect. It does, however, establish key design principles which must be followed in all instances. In this regard, it is particularly relevant to note that the plan places strong emphasis upon ensuring that development proposals respond appropriately to the existing scale, proportion, and characters of the immediate and wider vicinity. Madam President, such an approach ensures that the development proposed takes design cues from the established characteristics of the area. This ensures that whilst the plan offers a flexible approach to the design, to this has to be within the context of demonstrable understanding of the established build from the character of the area. Madam President, the plan establishes a change of approach to the traditional interpretation and application of the planning policy in Bermuda. Specifically, the plan is to apply in its entirety in the assessment of planning applications. Such an approach allows for decisions to be taken through balancing all the relevant factors and not mandating that a planning application must be refused because it fails to meet a single policy. Similarly, it also means an application does not have to be approved just because it meets preconceived requirements. Madam President, this plan allows for the case-by-case assessments based upon the nature of the development proposed and in circumstances of individual sites, and encourages developers and architects to put forward innovative designs which are responsive to the established characteristics of the area. Madam President, within the context of the ever-changing social, environmental, and economic dynamics, I believe that it is imperative to have a planning system which has the ability to quickly pivot and respond constructively to emerging opportunities. I believe that the plan can assist in successfully achieving this whilst remaining true to sound planning principles. Madam President, in accordance with the Development and Planning Act of 1974, a tribunal was appointed by the Minister of Home Affairs on the 20th of January 2022 to process the submissions received. Madam President, as noted within the tribunal report, upon consideration of the consultation process followed by the department and the resolutions reached, it was determined that no formal hearing were required. The tribunal concurred with the department's recommendation on each of the three representations and did not recommend any changes to the plan, with the exception of minor changes recommended by the department. Having received the final version of the tribunal report for the minister's review on April 2022, the Minister of Home Affairs confirmed his full agreement with the tribunal's finding and recommendations. Madam President, I believe it is particularly pertinent to point out that the tribunal concluded that the lack of objections is reflective of the flexible nature of the document as well as the vigorous consultation process used by the department. We wholeheartedly agree with these conclusions and believe that the department has produced a document which could be the cornerstone of the transformation approach towards planning within Bermuda. Madam President, this government announced as part of its general election platform a desire to transform the city of Hamilton into a livable city and voiced its support for a major public and private sector building projects, including residential development in the Northeast Hamilton. Though it is flexible approach and consistent support for residential development within the area, the plan will play a crucial role in achieving these ambitions. Madam President, the 2021 speech from the throne detailed a commitment to ensuring that the Northeast Hamilton Plan would come before legislation during this session. The presentation of the plan today delivers on this commitment to the people of Bermuda. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Lindsey Simmons, Junior Minister for Home Affairs. And before I open the floor to senators, I would just like to acknowledge the presence in the chamber of the technical officers for the from the Planning Department, and the names are Mr. Paul McDonald and Mr. Kenny Campbell. Thank you for being here. Would any senator care to comment, speak, ask questions on this? Senator Robin Tucker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to the Junior Minister for providing her statement regarding the Northeast Hamilton Plan. I first want to say well done to the Department of Planning, especially to Mrs. Pereira and her team, the substantive minister, and anyone that's been involved in developing this plan. It's evident that a lot of time and effort has gone into producing what we see now as a comprehensive planning document and report. I don't have too much to say about it, other than I wish just to make a general observation and comment. From my perspective, as one that, as a child, grew up in North Hamilton, my house was actually where Masters is right now. And I think that it's pretty shameful that Northeast Hamilton has not been given the same attention as other areas in Hamilton and around the island, as some of the best businesses and people hail from within Northeast Hamilton area. For many years now, the area has been in need of investment and development, which we already know. So I was very happy to see this plan checks many of the boxes, including its aim to preserve the area's historic significance and legacy. While I think it's a good thing that this plan provides an avenue for Northeast Hamilton to get the attention and uplift that it needs and deserves, I will say, however, that I am worried that once the plan begins to take shape and work being done, that there could be unintended consequences of seeing businesses, residents, and families that have lived in the area for generations displaced over time as new residential developments and commercial structures are built on approval of the new flexible planning framework. I do have little doubt that once the plan is approved, it will generate the interest and investment and development, and that the end result will be that it will have greater appeal for those who wish to live, establish businesses, and visit the area. But the conundrum, Madam President, may well be that whether residents or businesses will be able to continue to live and operate their businesses from the area once it's been redeveloped into a more, quote unquote, more appealing place to reside, establish, and build their businesses and visit. I'm not sure if we know the answer to the question, but I wonder if there were any considerations given to addressing the potential displacement of current residential and commercial residents when the development plans fully get underway. Madam President, overall, I think the Northeast Hamilton plan is a good plan, but hopefully measures will be in place that balances the need to attract the type of investment sought after to develop the area to its greatest potential without displacing people who have lived and run businesses there, some for many generations. Admittedly, this will be no easy feat, Madam President, but I am hopeful that it can be accomplished, as doing so will prove not only beneficial for Northeast Hamilton, its residents, for current and future businesses, and overall for Bermuda. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Robin Tucker. Would any other senator care to ask questions or make a comment on the plan that is presented? Senator DeCuto, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I will be brief because my colleague, Senator Tucker, did cover many of the points. So first of all, thank you to the Senator for bringing the plan, and like my colleague, I do believe it is a good plan, and it is an important part of helping to develop what is a valuable and important part of Bermuda's culture and heritage, being Northeast Hamilton. And you know, I'm certainly a strong believer in the need for government to help create the conditions for success, to enable people to be successful and enable our economy to grow and thrive, whether for the whole country or in a specific area such as this. And this plan is a good example of that, and I do welcome it. I do have a couple of concerns. You know, we heard in the statement about the environmental and social declines that have sort of led to how that area has developed or failed to develop in the past. And so it's one thing for us to put this development plan into place, but I wonder how the government, how we are addressing the underlying reasons that are preventing people from investing and continuing to grow in this specific area. And I guess it comes down to how do we solve those underlying reasons, and how do we encourage investments? And we know that, you know, in Bermuda, in America, and around the world, it's always a important balance. And as my colleague Senator Tucker alluded to, how do we correctly address the concerns of existing residents who value the distinct character of their homes, their neighborhoods, where they're from, with the desire for there to be growth and change? And it is very hard. sometimes people refer to the concept of NIMBY or not in my backyard. You can do it, just not here, or concerns about gentrification. And I can't pretend I personally know the answer. I know it's very complicated, but I do know that it involves a strong vision that would engage all the various stakeholders to work it out together. So while I welcome this specific development plan, I wonder what is government's overall plan to revitalize the area and how that would take into account the social and economic and cultural concerns. Because I personally would love to see this area thrive. And I know we've all seen starts at investment and development in the area that sometimes don't quite pan out, and we've seen many initiatives in the past that perhaps have not arrived at the destination we would all like to see. So I welcome it, and I look forward to learning about the government's fuller vision on what to do in Northeast Hamilton. Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to the Senator for bringing that plan to our attention.
Thank you, Senator Douglas DeCuto. Would any other senator care to comment, ask questions on the plan that has been presented? At the moment, the senator is is liaising with the technical officers to obtain a response to the comments and questions that have been raised.
Thank you, Madam President. To answer Senator Robin Tucker's question, it is not an immediate concern, but if it becomes a concern, the government will look into this. With the residents of Northeast Hamilton. And to answer your question, Senator DeCuto, planning can't solve all of the issues, but what it can do is put a framework, which is stated in my brief, to facilitate responsible investments in the area that would help to see it grow and help with the development for all involved. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Ariana. Sorry, Lindsay Simmons. With that said, then, Senator Simmons, you need to.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that the said local plan be approved.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection. Yes. The plan is approved. Thank you, Senator Lindsay Simmons, and thank you all senators, those senators who have commented or asked questions. Thank you, technical officers, for your presence. We will now, that completes the orders of the day today, senators. We'll now move on to item number 14, motions. There are none. Item number 15, congratulatory and or obituary speeches. Would any senator care to speak? Senator Dill, Senator
Thank you, Madam.
Reverend Dr. Emily Dill, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like this morning to offer congratulations to Mr. Kelly Zhu as he celebrates today 59 years as a gospel music radio announcer. His program, Gospel Train, is heard Monday through Friday on Inspire 105 on Bermuda Broadcasting Company, and he also hosts us on Wednesday and Friday for the sitting of the House of Assembly. So we want to congratulate Mr. Zhu for an outstanding career and certainly encourage him as his sultry voice serenades us. He has such a wonderful voice, but most importantly, the inspiration that he provides to this community on a daily basis. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator. Would any other senator care to speak? Minister Peets, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I certainly want to wish a happy belated birthday to Roger Dill, Valley Heights Road in Devonshire. It's part of my constituency in constituency number 10. He celebrated his 65th birthday on yesterday, and I trust he had a great day. But also, Madam President, on a sadder note, we regret to announce the passing of Darlene Richardson. She was the mother of former government senator Curtis Richardson. So we certainly want to send him our love and our prayers for him as well as his family regarding the passing of his mother. She was a beloved person, resided in St. David's, has been living overseas for the last couple of years. We certainly are thinking of him today. She loved her family. She loved the Progressive Labor Party. And we certainly are wishing our very, very best for the family during this difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peets. Would any other senator care to speak?
I'd like to speak.
Senator Owen Darrow, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I'd like to start on a sad note, firstly, and wishing condolences to the family of Mr. Arnold Todd. I met Mr. Arnold Todd when I was a teacher at the Barclay Institute. Mr. Todd used to come in along with his wife, Miss Veronica Todd, to provide some much needed, and as my principal next to me would tell you, some not much needed substitute and I guess it was what they call long-term sub support at the time when substitutes were much needed. And I do understand that Mr. Todd has been since which living back in England, but I remember having some really good conversations with him just about life in general, and as recall as much of a role model he was to the students, especially young men at the Barclay Institute while he spent his time there. And I do know he had a lengthy career in other sectors of the community. But my time in knowing Mr. Todd came there, and I also spent a lot of time with one of his sisters, Miss Ann Simmons, is her name, who worked for many, many years at Tongate Electric with my father. So I'd just like to send condolences again to his family. And I was actually shocked to read his age. He passed at the age of 83. He never struck me as that mature. I will use that word. So yes, condolences to Mr. Todd. And on a happier note, along the same vein of education, I got the opportunity last week to attend 2 graduations, and particularly the high school graduations. The first one was the Barclay Institute graduation, of which I graduated from many years ago. And they had a great ceremony up at the National Sports Center. And it was great to see that there were 114 graduates in that class. And of note that struck out to me that at Barclay Institute, it was a 50-50 split, identical between male graduates and female graduates. We heard many speeches. We heard of students that had done the dual enrollment program. And I'd like to make particular mention of the Teacher of the Year, who was a former colleague of mine, a really good friend of mine, Miss Michelle Camara, who won Teacher of the Year. She had been the S4, currently year head. And just to hear what the students say about their teacher is always refreshing and rewarding to all teachers to know that at the end of the road, students do appreciate and acknowledge what you have done for them. So congratulations to her, all of the staff at the Barclay Institute, including the principal, Ms. Keisha Douglas, the deputy principals, and everyone else involved. And then 2 days later, I had the opportunity to briefly go and go to the Cedar Bridge Academy graduation. Where the speaker was former Cop Match captain, Mr. Jacon Adnis. And his message actually stuck with me. And I want to congratulate him for giving that message. His speech was no more than maybe 8 minutes. And his speech was about your brand. And he spoke to the graduates of Cedar Bridge Academy about their brand and what their brand will look like going forward and what that will mean for their life. So it was a very powerful message albeit very short, and something that people could remember. And talking about male-female ratios, at the Cedar Bridge graduation, which some of my colleagues did attend with me, it was pointed out by Principal Kenneth Caesar that they had significantly more males graduating from Cedar Bridge Academy this year than females. I'm not sure what that means, but usually when we go to these ceremonies and the stats are read out, the split does not go that way. So I want to encourage Bermuda that we do have some very talented young people doing amazing things in this country. And a lot of that is fostered by individuals who work with young people, whether it be teachers, community workers, parents. So congratulations to everyone at those two schools, are two high schools, public high schools on this island, and they definitely made me be proud to be a graduate of public education, as well as in the capacity now where I speak on matters of education. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Darrell. Would any other senator care to speak? Senator Michelle Simmons? Vice President, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to begin by commending the Bermuda Sloop Foundation and the crew of the Spirit of Bermuda for creating what I call a living history lesson. And I know this will resonate with Senator Darrell, a former history teacher. There's a group of Bermudian students who have a wonderful opportunity to sail to Turks and Caicos, along with a big slab of Bermuda limestone, I almost said concrete, limestone, which they plan to exchange for salt, which has been raked in the salt ponds or flats of Turks Island. This is a way of reconnecting with one of our national heroes, Mary Prince, who we all know was enslaved in Turks Island. And I believe accompanying the group on the trip is Dr. Theodore Francis, who is a Bermudian and is associate professor of history at Hudson-Tillotson University in Austin, Texas. During the voyage down to Turk, Dr. Francis intends to help the students to come to terms with Mary Prince's life as a slave and the resistance she put up to fight her way out of slavery. I don't mean fight literally, but to claw her way out of slavery. I know some of the young people on board the Spirit on this adventurous trip, and I can't wait to hear of their reaction to the voyage down, being in Grand Turk, and then coming back with salt, which will then be traded up again when the Spirit goes up to Canada on another voyage later this year. So well done, Bermuda Sloop Foundation. I also want to congratulate and thank the 21 new police officers who took their official oaths before the governor, the commissioner of police, Mr. Darren Simons, and of course before Minister Michael Weeks last week. It's so gratifying to see young people stepping forward willingly and pledging their commitment to upholding the laws of the land, but also willing to become role models for their peers. So well done, new police officers. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your willingness to serve. And then I just want to associate myself with the remarks Senator Darrell made about Mr. Arnold Todd. I certainly want to extend condolences to his wife. I call her his best friend, life partner, Veronica, their daughter Robin, and her husband Frank, their son Arnold Jr., and his wife Caroline, all the grandchildren and his sisters, Ann Simmons and Lois Harris. I found Arnold Todd to be a fun-loving person, but he also knew how to be unflinching in matters which really, really mattered. He was one of the original Devonshire Colts players on the very first team, alongside some people who are just legends. I know it must have been very heartwarming for him to realize that his own grandson also became a member of Devonshire Colts and was playing football for them as well. I know that Mr. Todd had a foray into politics, and I think he always kept it at the party level. But even when he was no longer actively involved in party politics, he was always a keen observer and commentator. If you had the privilege of spending time with him, of all that was happening in Bermuda. He's lived overseas for several years. We've missed his presence in Bermuda, but I know that he was enjoying the time being with his family. Yes, he was a substitute teacher at Berkeley, but before that, he was a student and was also chairman of the Board of Governors for several years. I've forgotten the period now. But it's a loss, and we just want to let his family know we're thinking of them at this time. And then finally, from me, I would like to ask that we send condolences to the family of Mr. Stuart Hayward. In particular, his wife, Dr. Jamie Bacon, his sister, the Honorable Sylvia Hayward Harris, his stepdaughters, as well as all his extended family members. Stuart's life was one of service to Bermuda's natural environment. And by extension, he served all of us because we all live in this natural environment. And it's really up to us to learn some lessons from the legacy he's left behind. He has written at least a couple of books, which I would just like to mention. Bermuda's Delicate Balance, People and the Environment, which was published many years ago, but is still a wonderful book to help you to understand the importance of Bermuda's green spaces and the natural environment. And then on a very different note, his most recent publication was My Bermuda, Memories or Memoirs of an Island Boy. It's a collection of more than 100 articles which he had written for the Bermudian magazine. And I think they refer to his childhood, growing up in Bermuda, and also, of course, as he became an adult. So, again, another big loss for Bermuda, but may he rest in peace. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Michelle Simmons. Would any other senator care to speak? Senator Ben Smith, Opposition Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Firstly, I'd like to be associated with the remarks from the Junior Minister of Education for the graduates of both Cedar Bridge and Berkeley. As he said, it's really important that we highlight the positive of our young people. They are about to start their next step in life, and I'm hoping that this is an opportunity for Bermuda to reach out and give them opportunities for work, opportunities for internship, because we need them to be a flourishing generation to come to help to take us to where we need to go. So I'd like to congratulate the graduates from both Cedar Bridge and Berkeley, and for all the graduates that have graduated in the last few weeks, because I know there's been a lot of celebration for the people that have reached that level and will be moving on to university or moving on to jobs. I'd also like to congratulate the 22 swimmers that have been selected to participate in the Central American and Caribbean Swimming Championships. They'll be traveling tomorrow to go to Barbados, participating in the championship from the 9th to the 13th. I know all of them will be doing their best to do Bermuda proud and try to bring back personal best times. It is a large competition this year with over 500 participants, so we're looking forward to see what results they will bring back. Because I'll be traveling with that team, I think it's important that I also send congratulations, but it's actually a happy birthday wish to my mother, who will be turning 85 this Saturday, and I won't be here to celebrate with her. Mary Frederica Smith, for those that are from the Somerset area, will know her as Frederica Harney. So I'd like to give her birthday wishes for this Saturday, and thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Ben Smith. Would any other senator care to speak? Senator Lindsay Simmons, I see you. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I first want to congratulate all the graduates of Happy Valley Child Care Center that graduated last week, Friday. I was able to attend and speak to the graduates. Happy Valley is an amazing school. And I just want to congratulate Ms. Swan and her team for the hard work and dedication that they put in. They pour into our children, Madam President. And I believe that when we give our children a solid foundation from young, they become better members of our society. When you have a solid foundation, you always have something to fall back on. And with that, Madam President, I want to congratulate Callan Richardson, highlight two young men that graduated from the Barclay Institute. Callan Richardson, he is the son of MP Anthony Richardson. He graduated from Barclay after already graduating from Bermuda College with an associate's degree. You could tell that he had a solid foundation, Madam President. I also want to highlight Timothy Amias Lightbourne, another one of our young black men that are doing wonders in the community. He actually graduated from the Barclay Institute 2 years early. Callan graduated a year early from Barclay. They both skipped a year, and Timothy actually skipped 2 years. So congratulations to them and the parents for pouring into their sons. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Lindsay Simmons. Would any other senator care to speak? Senator Robin Tucker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to, I have one condolence and one congratulatory remark, so I will start with the condolence first. I would like to express condolences to the family of Mrs. Vida Smith. Anybody that knew anything about Vida Smith knew that she was always immaculately dressed and represented Somerset Cup Match team very well at the game, no matter where we were. Okay. Mrs. Smith was absolutely a fashion extraordinaire. So I just wanted to express condolences on her passing to her family, to her sons Michael and Gregory, her daughter-in-law Lori, her daughter Crystal Burgess, her husband Randy, and the entire family. Mrs. Smith will absolutely be a tremendous miss. I also would like to associate myself with the condolences of everyone, all the families that were spoken of today. But in particular, I would like to mention particularly condolences extended to our former colleague, Curtis Richardson, on the passing of his mother. Notwithstanding anything else that's been going on, he's a former colleague and a Bermudian and a person. And so I want to associate myself with those condolences expressed. On a happier note, I would like to say congratulations to Coral Wells on receiving an honorary special recognition award from the Caribbean Women's Innovators Network. For anyone that knows Coral, that know that she's the founder and the executive director of Connect Tech Coding, which is Bermuda's first technological training center. Coral has made and continues to make her mark in a male-dominated tech industry and has not let gender disparity on any level stop her from taking her proper seat. In looking up, in researching on the website of the Caribbean Women's Innovators website, I came across a statement that was given by the founder. And it says that the Caribbean Women's Innovators Network is a platform for the gathering of ingenious minds that stimulate investment, celebrates, motivates, and rewards innovation and entrepreneurship. And that is an award that is befitting of Coral. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Robin Tucker. Would any other senator care to speak? Senator DeCouto, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I'd like to associate myself with Senator Simmons' comments regarding the voyage of the Spirit of Bermuda. I think it's an amazing combination of a practical experience, a very important topic, and a dynamic and passionate educator there with Dr. Francis. So I think those students will have the voyage of a lifetime. It's quite amazing. I'd like to send good luck in advance to Dame Flora Duffy, who will be competing in Hamburg at the World Triathlon Championship Series. And I'd like to congratulate Nicholas Narraway, who won the bronze medal in men's cycling road race at the Caribbean Games in Guadeloupe. I think that's a very nice piece of hardware to bring home. And I just sort of like to highlight the Bermuda's youth sailors who are currently competing at the Optimus World Championships in Turkey. It's Ethan Thompson, Miguel Power, Sarah Davis, Sophia Diaz, and Tristan Hawking. There are 276 competitors there. When I checked, Ethan Thompson was in 26 out of 276. And for those of you who don't know, to go from sailing at an event in Bermuda's waters to go to an event of this size, it's not just more boats, more activity, it's a whole another level of ball game. And I think we can safely say that these sailors who are far from home are getting a valuable experience in the game at the highest levels. So I wish them all a good time and that they return home safely. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator DeCouto. Would any other senator care to speak? Hearing none, then I would just like to associate myself with the condolences that have been expressed by Senator Michelle Simmons as well as Owen Darrell on Arnold Todd and Stuart Hayward. I think you've both certainly indicated what their lifespan was worth, and they'll be a great miss to the island. But they have a legacy that so many people will remember, and the books that have been written, certainly by Stuart, will also be, maybe there are some people who don't know them, but haven't heard them today. They will go and purchase. I would also like to associate myself with Robin Tucker, her congratulations to Coral Wells. And the reason I do is because she was most influential on my niece, Cameron Young, who's right now in London studying, and she's been exceedingly beneficial to my niece and all the work that she has been doing. So with that, it's now over to the adjournment. Minister Peets, over to you.
Thank you, Madam President. I motion that this Honorable Senate Chamber adjourn until Wednesday, July 20th.
Thank you, Minister Peets. Would any senator care to speak on the motion to adjourn? Senator Robin Tucker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I think that we've had some pretty good discussion here today. I would like to take it in a little bit of, just a tiny bit in a different direction. And I want to preface what I'm about to say by the fact that my comments are coming from a place of concern for our community. Okay. So Madam President, in my daily interactions, when I'm just out and about, canvassing, what have you, I'm always interested to know what concerns people have with the things that are going on within the community. What I'm finding is that people are just not feeling safe. Violence, sadly, is topping the list of their concerns. This is not a problem, this is a problem not only for residents, but our reputation as a safe place to visit is also being impacted. So it's not good for attracting visitors to our shores either. Madam President, we all know that now the current count is that we have had 72 murders in 20 years, which is astounding for our little country. And Madam President, not unlike so many of us, I'm tired. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of hearing about another young black male that has been injured in some type of violent act. Just 2 nights ago, a 17-year-old boy was stabbed at Devil's Hole in Smiths. Madam President, not only am I tired of hearing about young black males getting killed or injured, I'm also tired of hearing that they're being arrested for committing these acts as well. Madam President, we have children going to primary school and high school who are affected as they either witness some type of violence or gang activities or something going on in their homes. And we wonder why some of these kids are acting out in the classroom or don't perform well academically. Some of these children are traumatized, while unfortunately we have some parents who are supposed to protect them and look after them and care for them, look the other way when they see illicit activities going on in their households, because to say anything might mean that the rent doesn't get paid. The sad reality is, I can't remember a time when I've picked up the newspaper and read reports of gunshots and stabbings. Recently, there were 3 incidents reported on the same day. Unheard of for Bermuda. 3 young black males, 1 murdered, 2 injured, within days of each other. At what point, Madam President, do we consider all this violence that we are seeing as a crisis? What typically happens, Madam President, is we're becoming so desensitized in a lot of ways to what's happening. We'll hear the reports, we'll get shocked, we'll read the reports in the paper, we'll get shocked for a couple of minutes, and then we move on. At what point do we, as a community, declare a state of emergency? We need to wake up to the fact that that we are at a crisis point. Our young black males are killing each other. And Madam President, I will go as far as to say and to remind my black community that we can't blame this one on white people killing us. We are doing it to ourselves. The Minister of National Security, Michael Weeks, was right when he said that we cannot police our way out of this situation. That is very true. But as a start, we have to start looking at each other, looking inwardly, amongst each other. But Madam President, to be clear, I'm certainly not saying that it's only black families that's impacted, but we are a predominantly black community, and that is what we see. Black families, black mothers, black fathers, aunties, uncles, cousins, if you have young children, or young adults and you know or suspect they are involved in criminal activity, do something about it, even if you have to turn them in to get them help and give them a proper chance to turn their lives around. But whatever you do, don't turn a blind eye. The child's future is at stake. The future of Bermuda is at stake. I recently read a 2000 study in the Caribbean Journal of Criminology and Social Psychology on violence in Bermuda. It was called The Perspectives of Violent Men. The participants were part of two focus groups that actually took place at Westgate. And these individuals were convicted of committing violent crimes. 22 years ago, the researchers reported that the country's challenging economic situation was a source of frustration that compelled them to pursue deviant and criminal lifestyles, drug selling and other types of predatory crime, theft, robbery, so on. And that had been spoken of as a way for them and justified as a way for them to be able to earn money and achieve social status within the street culture. There is absolute truth to that, to the economic disparity and the impacts that that when one is in an economic disadvantaged point, that survival sometimes will lay a pathway for you to do things that you probably wouldn't necessarily do. I would say this, though, Madam President, that having money doesn't necessarily solve the problem. Having a job is a great way to turn people away from those types of activities, but it's not the panacea. Because if it was, we wouldn't have gang activity, especially people that are making money from it. We have, Madam President, a lot of dysfunctional homes, and they're not only because people don't have jobs. Addressing violence in Bermuda is a complex subject. I'm not by any way trying to make it sound like it's easy. But the root causes for participation have to be addressed. Dysfunctional homes and whatever is in that circle. As Minister Weeks said in an interview, a collaborative approach is needed to make inroads. Police can't do it. Police can't do it alone. Teachers can't do it alone. Churches can't do it alone. Parents and families, the police, teachers, churches can support you, but parents and family, it starts with us. We are the village that we all sometimes casually talk about. We're the village. And the village right now is not on its post, and neither is the government, because it also has a part to play. The community, this community, is spiraling further out of control and further into a cycle of violence. We have, Madam President, a national tourism plan. We have an intellectual disabilities national plan. We even have a national space plan. But where is the national plan for addressing violence in Bermuda? We need one. And that is not I by no means mean that as a dig toward Minister Weeks. He's just gotten on the scene, or anyone, or even MP Ming. All I'm saying is that this cycle of violence in Bermuda didn't start yesterday. It's been going on for a long time. So where is the plan? A plan doesn't even need to be started from scratch. There were reports done over the years that could be used as a starting point. The Parliamentary Joint Selection Committee on the Causes of Violent Crime and Gun Violence in Bermuda, that was headed by the Honorable K.H. Randolph Horton in 2010-2011, is a prime example. That initiative saw many entities that are working on the front line, such as the police, corrections, customs, education representatives, helping agencies, support groups, member of the public. They appeared before committees and gave observations and suggestions on addressing gang violence. In fact, this now 11-year-old comprehensive 120-page report gives recommendations on what the country could do to combat not only gang violence, but all kinds of violence in Bermuda. There were many good suggestions that came out of that committee's report that are still relevant today, but have yet to be implemented. Why is that? We are in a crisis, and we need confidence that the village and the government are doing all it can to address gang violence in Bermuda. Madam President, our young males are being killed or injured by their brother, possibly cousin or some relative down the line. When will all of us who say we care come together to be that village that we talk about? Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Robin Tucker. Would any other senator care to speak? Senator Lindsay Simmons, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. It's ironic that Senator Tucker is talking about gang violence today, as today that was my topic I was going to talk about, and I still am. Madam President, in 2020, when I decided to run for the PLP, my main reason for joining this party was to continue the work, and if I wanted to be about the change for my daughter, I had to dive in. Madam President, I just want to highlight what the Honorable Minister Michael Weeks stated on June 21st at Bailey's Bay Cricket Club at a town hall meeting, because I think these are important numbers to talk about. The first identified gang-related murders occurred in 2001. 2 years later, in 2003, Bermuda had the first gang-related murder that involved the use of firearm. Since 2001, we have had 71 murders in Bermuda where a weapon has been used. He paused, so that number, 71, in 20 years was able to sink in. We have become desensitized. These are not just people in our communities, it's our family members, so it's not just statistics. Madam President, this includes 43 murders involving firearm and 20 involving a knife during this period. We have had 294 confirmed firearm incidents. Madam President, it's ironic that Minister Weeks spoke about Vanille Richardson, his nephew, who is also my nephew. He was 21 years old when he was murdered in Bailey's Bay 9 years ago. Madam President, it saddens me today to have to talk about this topic, antisocial behavior that is plaguing our community. I say to you, Madam President, and the listening public, when will enough be enough? Madam President, we are losing our black men and boys at an alarming rate. We have too many of our black men buried 6 feet under, and many more locked up for senseless crimes. Madam President, this is affecting all of us. Madam President, we are at war with ourselves. We are losing men, Madam President, yes, yours and mine. Recently, Madam President, a question was posed to me: what is your government doing to save our men? As I thought to myself, Madam President, this question is deeper than any government, including this government. Madam President, my reply was this: this government works closely within our community. I have seen this personally through the works of my colleagues. For example, MP Famous works closely week on and week off with our young black men. MP Keynes dives deep into the trenches with our black men. This was seen just not too long ago in Deepdale and other areas in the Hamilton area. Our Senate leader, Minister Pete, works with our young youths, especially with our young black boys, in programs. MP Jason Wade works with students at Cedar Bridge Academy and males in his constituency. Senator Ariana Ariana Hutton. I have seen her on phone calls trying to talk to some of our young black men on a daily basis. Madam President, we have become so desensitized, it's scary. Madam President, I just listened to what Senator Tucker had said about what are we doing as a government. I listened to Minister Weeks speak the other day, and they are developing a comprehensive multi-agency national strategic plan to mitigate not only violence but drug trafficking, because this all plays a part. Drug-related activities, particularly targeting high crime neighborhoods. Madam President, he has pledged that he will work close with the borders and combat drugs and weapons. He's also pledged to target high crime neighborhoods where residents live in fear. He's going to turn the tables with our hope to the tables on gangs, and he's going to also help with family support. But Madam President, this is not just a government problem, it's a community problem. Not just the PLP, but the OBA needs to do a part as well. So we as a community need to work together. We have to take back our streets. We have to go back to our basics. Madam President, we have lost our way. When the village stopped raising our children, that's when the problems began. Madam President, we all have a part to play, and let's all stand up and do better. Stop pointing fingers at each other and know that it's deeper than just one family. I spoke about my nephew, Vanille Richardson, who came from a Christian family. So it's not just mothers that are struggling and fathers that are struggling. It's every Bermudian that is affected by this. Madam President, we have a minister of National Security who is passionate about changing the mindset of our young black men. He is committed in going street to street, neighborhood to neighborhood, from east to west and everywhere in between. But he alone can't do it. We, the government, can't do it alone. We all need to buy in. We all must buy in so that we can save our sons. Together we can change the minds of some. One life changed is one life saved. I repeat that. One life changed is one life saved. I say to you, Madam President, we have a lot of work to do. Let's support parents, teachers, leaders, and the community to make Bermuda better again and safe. If you know of any antisocial behavior that's happening in Bermuda, you have the police that you can reach out. You can speak to any police officer. You can reach out to our MPs. Staying quiet is not an option anymore, Madam President. We are at war with our own. When we as a community realize that we are only as strong as our weakest link, then we will do better. Our community's most valuable assets are our people, and losing them should not be an option. When we realize this, and only when we realize this, then can we begin to heal. Madam President, talk is cheap. Let's all combat the war against our people. Thank you, Madam President. And as Minister Weeks said, in 3 words, what we need to do is Operation Take Back. Take back our streets, take back our island, and take back our children. Losing them should never be an option. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Lindsey Simmons. Would any other senator care to speak? Yes, Senator Emily Dill. Reverend Dr. Emily Dill, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. In my congratulatory comments earlier today, I shared regarding the 59th anniversary of Mr. Kelly Zhu as a gospel radio announcer. I had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Zhu recently, and I was both amazed and inspired by his journey. It began with a conversation with an educator who challenged him to declare what his interests were and what career he would like to pursue if given an opportunity to do so. This conversation sparked a desire in Mr. Zhu to do all within his power to work towards training to become a radio announcer. Although that appeared to be a lofty goal for a young black male at that time. Mr. Zhu held fast to it. And then he went out to work in another field, saved his money until he, along with his parents, were able to save enough funds for him to travel overseas to enroll in a course of study at the Royal Academy that would prepare him for the career of his choice. Mr. Zhu dared to believe that he could, and he did. He put aside fears and negative pronouncements, and he walked boldly into his destiny. The example set by Mr. Zhu to relentlessly pursue his personal career goal is a reminder to all of us of the importance of setting goals and putting a process in place to ensure that the goal is achieved. And this morning, I have listened to my colleagues, and I hear their pleas as I too am disheartened when I hear the grueling statistics regarding violent acts in our community. But let us be reminded that this is symptomatic of the lawlessness which is pervasive throughout the world. This is not a situation that is germane to Bermuda alone, but it is being experienced everywhere. But we, as a community, must press on. This morning, we have heard of a multiplicity of initiatives which are being put in place, and I am encouraged by them. We heard about the skills development program training. We heard about the launch of the Bermuda UN Economic Partnership. We are excited about the restructuring of our education system and the introduction of our signature learning programs. We also were excited to hear about the plan for the development of Northeast Hamilton. One of the things that was extremely encouraging was we have heard over the last few weeks of the graduation of students from institutions both here and overseas, and in particular, the graduating class that had a majority of males from the Cedar Bridge Academy. These and so many other stories, which rarely make the headlines and often get relegated to the inner pages of the Island's Daily Gazette, give rise to our spirits that we as a country, we are moving in the right direction. And although we are coming through a very difficult period that has presented unprecedented challenges, that we can move forward. That as we continue to come here each week and pass bills until they become laws, as we continue to put our heads together to come up with strategies that we as a country can move forward with continued perseverance, strategic innovations, and a positive mindset, we can indeed create a better and a fairer Bermuda and provide strong leadership for all of us. So I want to thank all of my colleagues here in the Senate and our members of Parliament and our ministers and our civil servants and all of those that are working and committed to making this community the community that we need for it to be. And I am daring to believe, like Mr. Zhu, that if there is a goal that you want to achieve, that together we can put our heads together, we can put strategies in place, and we must positively work towards a better Bermuda. As Ms. Lindsay Simmons just said, Senator Simmons, about the importance of every life and the importance of each one of us doing whatever it is that we can to ensure that each life is saved and that Bermuda continues to be an island paradise that we all can enjoy. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Reverend Dr. Emily Dill. Would any other senator care to speak? Senator DeCouto, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I wasn't going to speak on the gang violence thing originally, and I'll just make a few comments. I never did the math like my colleague did. I never added up to get to 72 in 20 years. And that's a sobering statistic that I will now carry with me. I have, in my constituency now, I have a family, a good family. I believe the Reverend used the word a Christian family, or one of the other senators. It's a quote-unquote good family, and their son succumbed to the gang violence. It's a reminder to us all how tenuous things could be, especially as a parent, how complicated the situation is. And I'm not an expert. But I'm old enough to know that if you want to solve a problem, you require focus, you require commitment, and you require follow through. And I believe one of the prior senators said talk is cheap, and indeed it is. So focus, commitment, and follow through. And I agree with my colleague, Senator Tucker, that just money and jobs aren't going to make the problem go away. But we also know, and we've seen this in other jurisdictions, that throughout COVID and the economic pressures people are feeling, that has increased crime and violence as people become more desperate and more stressed. And there is a saying that some people say money doesn't solve your problems. Well, if you don't have it, it actually does start to solve some problems. So it will be a part of the solution and could take some pressure off of people. And while I appreciate that solving this problem will require many actors to coordinate and collaborate together, it is this government that has the money, that has the resources, that can pass the laws, and can create the opportunity. So will this government face the reality and take responsibility for a problem that has been growing over the past 20 years? And that's actually related to my next theme, which is really about the economy. And this government is saying things that just don't match people's reality. They're not facing the reality, and they're not taking responsibility. The government messages, the economy is improving. Tell that to retailers who had 9 straight months of retail decline. And that's including the economic growth as the island is coming back from COVID. The government is touting its plus 2.75% growth in pensions, backdated. I guess my question is, what took them so long? And my second question is, that's fine, but inflation is vastly outstripping that, despite what the government states it is. Anybody can just go shopping for whatever it be, whether it be underpants, bananas, fuel. We know that the cost of living is increasing. And as I go through my constituency, everybody, except for what I would call the highest levels of the economic ladder, everybody is commenting on this. Whether they're struggling with the grocery bill, whether they're lining up outside a church hall or a food bank for their meals. We can see this every week here in Hamilton. That's new to Bermuda. Whether they're trying to make rent, make a school fee because they don't have confidence in the education system, although we do look forward to the improvements, or mortgages. So pretty much everybody is concerned. The retirees, the seniors, their health care costs. And I don't want to be a negative Nelly, but we have to face the reality of what's going on here in Bermuda. So will government face reality and take responsibility? We've heard a lot about how much credit they want to get for capping the fuel prices. And I believe Senator Smith, my colleague, asked a good question, Madam President, about what will happen when we get the next shipment of fuel. You know, we can't expect the fuel importers to take a loss on it. So eventually the bill's going to go up. And we know Belco bills are going up. So government will talk about how, oh, everyone's saving money at the pump and you're getting a break on your car. That's fine. But it's not particularly well constructed to help the people who need it the most. Those people with large, expensive cars that use the most gas, they're getting the biggest benefit. That family struggling to make ends meet that buys a cheap car, Class A, that doesn't use very much fuel and carefully manages their fuel use, they're getting the least dollar benefit. So why couldn't government come up with something that was better targeted and more effective for those who need it the most? We heard about the COVID relief, which was much needed, but we also learned the government could not effectively administer it and gave a lot of money away to people who weren't eligible. We're not in a position to do that. That's the facing reality. And with the departure of Minister Dickinson, I wonder if the Premier and his cabinet have the right capabilities to properly solve this problem that is staring us down. And we're inching and inching and inching towards the cliff of economic disaster. Because I don't see any evidence of, number one, an honest and realistic assessment of our current economic situation, both for the country as a whole, the budgets, the deficits, what that means for our future, but for individual Bermudians who day to day are taking decisions on buying a prescription, paying for gas, buying food. Yes, COVID. Fine. But what is the plan? Because number two, I am not seeing, none of us are seeing a proactive, coherent plan to address these underlying issues in the medium to long term. Senator White asked the same question I would have asked. What is going to go on with the debt refinancing? The government took a lot of credit last year for its ability to, and quite rightfully, and well-deserved credit, for refinancing where global interest rates were low. Well, they're swung back, and we're going to take a hit. And again, that reality doesn't seem to be reflected in budgeting or the statements from the government. It's not going to be a surprise when it comes for those who know about these things. And it's been raised. What about tax reform? We've heard about it. And here we are, July. Nothing has happened. Where are the realistic plans and initiatives for economic growth that works in Bermuda? Instead, we see the government chasing shiny baubles and traveling around raising their profile. Fintech, crypto, digital asset businesses. We hear about that a lot. And there is a kernel of something there that could bring a benefit to Bermuda over the long term. It will take a while to grow, but not today. It's not going to move the needle today or in the short term. And again, for those who follow this stuff, globally, the digital asset or the crypto business, as we might say, is imploding with what you might at best term a collapse of a bubble, or at worst, and which many people think is a collapse of outright fraud and hucksterism. So it's really important that Bermuda treads this narrow path very carefully to nurture and develop this industry in a way that maintains our global reputation and builds on our strengths. And I'm not confident that we can. We know that the businesses that the government in the past has taken great effort to associate itself with publicly have only brought embarrassment to Bermuda in the international press. And I'm confused because I read that we have the Premier calling a business to apologize for press coverage. That is just basically a repeat of international press coverage regarding an overseas regulatory action. The Premier stated, I called him to apologize, to say I'm sorry, that there are persons who want to get at me. This is not about the Premier. This is about Bermuda, Bermuda's reputation, Bermuda's economy, And frankly, it concerns a Bermuda business regulated by the BMA, that business's actions in another country and the actions of a regulator in another country. And frankly, I would suggest that we as politicians stay out of it. That is the strength of Bermuda, a highly respected regulatory environment where the politicians stay out of it. Why am I getting into this topic of political interference when I started with the economy? It's well understood that political interference prevents economic growth. It discourages people from investing, and it reduces confidence. The BTA has been unable to work unimpeded under professional leadership for any period of time. So if they're not delivering, you can't really blame them. The travel authorization form that is blocking tourism, adding expense. The rest of the world is dropping them. And all advice from the tourism industry and the travel industry has been to get rid of it. But the government's not interested in hearing about that. The failure of gaming to take off, which I understand is due to banks not really being willing to engage because of the political interference of the way the PLP government has restructured our gaming commission. So those are examples of where our economy and Bermuda's success is being held back. Now, speaking of politics and speaking of spending money, I recently received a flyer in the mail, basically a political advertisement paid for by the government. Now, I've done some political mailings this year, and I did a back-of-the-envelope calculation. And my estimate is it costs this government $50,000 to $60,000 to mail out that flyer. And if you recall, Madam President, last time we sat in this chamber, we approved the legislation to give a land tax break to the nursing homes. And my understanding is the value of that break in aggregate to the 12 nursing homes was $55,000. So that this government would spend as much money on self-promotion and a baldly political ad as it would then turn around and crow about its successes and support of the nursing homes is hardly what I would call prudent financial management of the people's money. Madam President, what is going on with the economic recovery plan? Here we are again, July. As far as I can see, no results, but we have a project management office. Now, that in and of itself is not a bad thing per se. Many organizations have them for large projects. To manage a vertical farm project, well, that's just a bad idea from the start. And I know this because I spoke with the farmers. The government's proposals will be too expensive and too energy intensive, don't make sense. The farmers I spoke with used the word right tech. They have a bunch of ideas and initiatives. Why doesn't the government work with them instead of expensive overseas consultants or people trying to make a sale to Bermuda? We have people here who spent years, their lives, understanding how to do this. Let's work with them. The incinerator. If I recall, I believe there was some funds allocated to pay for a consultant on this project. So how does that overlap with the project management office? Again, I just don't see that the money is being spent wisely. Now I know what we'll hear. I can see, Madam President, probably my compatriot across the aisle there is going to come back and say, well, the incinerator was not properly managed by the OBA. 20 out of 24 years, this country has been run by the PLP government. 20 out of 24 years. Please take responsibility. And finally, here's an idea. Why don't we have a national sustainability plan? As a small island nation, we are at risk. We know we're at risk to the weather, global warming. We're at risk for factors outside of our control. Madam President, the cost of fuel, our energy security, our food security. And while I welcomed, again, in our last session here, Madam President, to hear about the regulation to allow, experimental energy generating ideas. Those are fine, but those are playing around the edges. If you look outside, it's sunny. We know solar is working in Bermuda. Why don't we have a massive push on solar production and vehicle electrification as a matter of national security? That kind of big thinking is what I'm looking for. But I've learned that this government's not interested in ideas or advice from the outside, no matter how beneficial or no matter the expertise or experience of the people involved. This government voted against adding more training requirements to the Southampton-Fairmont bill. It opposed adding protections to the parks and environment in the motor car bill, and recently opposed the equality bill in the other place. I really can't wrap my head around it because those things are all straightforward, positive outcomes for the country. So my message to this government, and thank you for your patience, Madam President, is please stop politicking and worrying about your image and start governing to rescue our future before it's too late and bring the benefits that all of us in Bermuda need. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Dr. Douglas DeCuto. Would any other senator care to speak? Senator Darrell?
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I thought we were going to have a peaceful lunch break today. And I sat here and I was pleased to hear how this motion to adjourn started with some of the comments made by an opposition senator on the realities of what Bermuda is facing with violence and gun violence in this country. Then I sat and listened to my PLP Senate colleague expand on that. Give some kudos where kudos are due to individuals that are working hard to try to stop the violence and talked about some of the causes of violence. And I feel that both of those speeches came from a place of concern, a place of passion, and a place where these two young ladies who attend this Senate chamber actually care about and understand what's going on in this community. I know the senator who spoke first has a very close and personal connection with someone who may see some of the fallout of this directly. I know that my Senate colleague works hard every day to try to assist those that have been affected by some of this tragic and gun violence. And then comes the newest senator in this chamber, or one of the newest senators in this chamber, Senator Douglas DeCuto, who starts by saying that he was not going to speak on that topic, and then proceeds to speak on his constituency and how his constituency has been affected. I was a little confused, Madam President, because when we usually talk about our constituencies, we talk about a place where we've been elected, and no one in here is an elected official. So I was confused when he spoke about his constituency. So I could only think that he was speaking about the constituency of which he lives.
Senator Owen, the question is whether you would take a motion of.
I have a point of
I'd like to
clarification,
proceed,
President.
Madam President, please, with my
It's not
presentation.
accepted, so carry on, Senator.
Thank you.
Darrell.
So I can only think that he was talking about the constituency of where he lives. I did a little quick research, and I see that he lives in an area of Paget. And I'm not sure this senator is qualified to speak on the fallout that people that I've worked closely with and lived close by and went to school with are dealing with when it comes to the effects of gang violence in Bermuda. He talks about his neighborhood. I'd be hard-pressed to think that his neighborhood has been affected by people in neighborhoods in other parts of Bermuda. So he probably should have taken the tack of stayed far away from this topic of the effects of gang violence on this community if he has very little experience. Let me expand. I don't wish to brag about this, but it becomes frustrating, and the number 72 is extremely high. And of late, when individuals send a name or a picture across the WhatsApp of someone who may have been unfortunately involved in one of these incidents, far too often, I find myself saying, I taught him. Oh, wow, I taught him. One instance, it was, I taught her. Or it is, I went to school with his mom. Or it is, I've worked with his dad. Or, wow, that's my good friend's brother. So when Senator DeCudo starts his comments by saying that, I don't know, his constituent or his neighborhood had been affected, I'm hard-pressed to believe what type of effects he has experienced when it comes to this type of violence. Put that to the side. Then he tries to transition a speech by saying that he does not mean to be negative. Quite frankly, Madam President, I am sick and tired of Senator Doug DeCudo coming to this place to attack this government. Madam President, when Senator DeCudo talks about the leader of this country going across the world, and he used the term with shiny balls, let me help him to understand something. One of the last business trips that the leader of this country made was to Austin, Texas, at a conference called Consensus. And there was a lot of hardworking people that spent a lot of time putting together a schedule, a meaningful schedule that will bring fruit to Bermuda shores. And at the last minute, there was one particular meeting that went into this schedule, and it happened to be with a CEO of a particular company. And the leader of this country felt it important to make sure that he got up at 8 a.m. to meet with the CEO of this particular fintech company. Let me tell you, Senator Doug DeCudo, what shiny balls and these trips do. 2 weeks after that meeting, the leader of this country came back to Bermuda and put it in his schedule to go to that company that has set up an office in Bermuda and has pledged to hire over 15 young Bermudians. So, Senator Doug DeCudo, you can go to your constituency, you can go up and down this country and ask those individuals how they feel about being employed in a new, shiny industry that is bringing fruit to Bermuda. Why did the leader of this country call the CEO after Senator Doug DeCudo's friends decided to post something, ironically, at a very interesting time, to try to throw cold water on what this company is doing. Let me tell you, because this government,
Senators, there is a point of order which we have to hear. What is your point of order, Senator DeCouto?
Madam President, the senator is misleading the Senate by, I believe he's referring to the Royal Gazette as my friends, and I don't know what kind of relationship he's trying to imply, but there is no such relationship.
That is not a point of order,
yeah.
Senator DeCouto.
thank you, Madam President. I'm sure
Senator Darrell
Senator
Perry.
DeCouto has many friends, so I'm not sure why he would call that particular friend out, but let's continue on. The reason why the leader of this country felt it necessary to call this CEO is to let him know that, unlike some, there are people in this country that are actually committed to seeing Bermudians get work and to grow this industry. That's not self-promotion. That's called good leadership, Madam President. And back to Senator Doug DeCouto's comment about I don't need to be negative. He goes on a 25-minute speech, and I've heard nothing positive. Maybe he was busy on Friday night. When in another place, in another motion to adjourn, there was a full list of initiatives that the Bermuda government has put in place to offer hope to young people and others in this community. Maybe the senator from the other side is too busy looking for negatives when he doesn't hear the ministerial statements that are put out in this place and another place, week after week, outlining the plans that we have in place, whether it be for education, whether it be for the economy, whether it be to get people back to work. So, Madam President, I actually didn't intend to speak on motion to adjourn today. I thought that the two female senators who spoke earlier, three female speakers that spoke earlier, were doing a good job to speak on the hurt that we all collectively feel, and to speak on some of the progress that we're making and trying to make to turn things around. But then we have to sit here and listen to a senator say, stop politicking? I mean, he's, in my opinion, not very good. But a statement of a list of negative things, pointing the finger at the government, I hate to break it to him, is politics 101, Madam President. So my suggestion to Senator Doug DeCouto from the One Bermuda Alliance is to take some time and maybe go with his other colleague to other constituencies. Some constituencies other than where he plans to run next time and where he presently resides, and see what some of the real problems in Bermuda are. And talk to some people that are really hurting, Madam President. And then read some of the statements of what the Bermuda government is doing to fix some of these problems. And then, Madam President, he may be able to increase his political knowledge, and we can have a better debate in this place going forward. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Darrell. We now have, Senator Ben Smith.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I know that we thought it was going to be an early session today, but I'd like to just add a couple of words to the statements that have been made today. Really, the quick message that I was going to give is that over the last couple of years since we've been in this Senate chamber, there have been a multitude of questions that have been asked and left unanswered. And I bring that up because it's happened again today, from the standpoint that if a statement is brought to this honorable chamber, and questions are asked, you would expect that there would be an opportunity to hear that answer. In another place, there is a process that happens, but it seems that in many cases, and I'm not going to say in all cases, because today we actually heard some of the junior ministers go out of their way to get answers to questions. But it's difficult when a complicated statement is written that has a lot of figures in it and questions are asked that are important to the country. When it, we've heard several times this morning about the impact that it's having on our country, the economy, and the impact that that is having when it comes to the violence with our young people. All of those pieces are connected. So when we ask the questions, it's really so that we can have an understanding that everything is being done possible in order for Bermuda to be in a better place. That's not to point a finger directly at any person, because there's a lot of people that work hard to pull together the plans, to do the work that it takes to implement plans. But Madam President, having a plan that isn't actually implemented, or having a report done where the information is not used, isn't helpful. And then when we come here and we're asking questions that don't get answered, once again, not helpful. So, Madam President, I just want to point out a couple of things. So recently, there has been communication to our community about passports, what's happening with passports in Bermuda. And I know that anybody that has been trying to get a passport recently, because obviously with 2 years of COVID, the amount of travel had been curtailed significantly, and now people are starting to move around again, and they're realizing, oh, I needed to get my passport renewed. And that process already had been increased to 11 weeks, which was a long period considering what it had been previously. And now we're hearing that that number has been 20 weeks, and I'm hearing narratives that in some cases that number's been significantly longer than 20 weeks. But Madam President, I bring that up in light of also hearing messages from the restaurant community that says that they are potentially downsizing in some restaurants because they can't get their work permits approved. And I'm also hearing that there has been long delays in work permit approval across the board. The reason I bring that up is because a former minister who was heading up the bipartisan Immigration Reform Committee, Honorable Minister Keynes, and I was on that committee at the time, I know that he reached out and hired a private company to look at the inefficiencies within the immigration department. And he reported back to the committee that there were very significant inefficiencies in how that process happened from step one to the final destination. And that was for work permit approval, and that was also for passports. And the reason I bring that up is because we fast forward now when he hasn't been the minister for a significant amount of time, and we're hearing increases in the amount of time. So we seem to be moving in the wrong direction. So I asked these couple of questions to the government. How much money did we spend to the private sector to go through the process of finding out where the inefficiencies are? And what is the plan to implement the changes so that we can reduce that time? The reason you ask that is because we've had the minister come out and talk about growing the resident population and doing everything we can to increase the business in the country and bringing outside income to the country so that we can increase the job opportunities for our locals. But if we have a logjam that is preventing that business from growing, and we are seeing issues where now we're having to bring 10 more people into a department in order to get back to a normal level, which is already too long, how are we fixing it? And this goes to the question. So I'm asking that question. It'll be interesting to see if I get an answer to that question. Madam President, we've heard several of our senators today talk specifically to the gang violence in Bermuda. I know that everybody here in this chamber has continued to be touched by the way this increase in gang violence and violent crime in Bermuda is impacting our community. Everybody's being touched by it in some way. It might not be exactly in your neighborhood, but Bermuda's tiny. It's all our neighborhood. And if we don't all start to put our hand up and say, well, how can we help? How can we change this? Then we're just as to blame as my colleague Senator Tucker was saying, that there's some families that have been turning a blind eye. If we are not willing to speak out to it, then we're just as guilty. If we're not willing to make the changes, then we're just as guilty. Well, Madam President, we have heard over the last few months that there are students as young as 8 and 9 years old that are being brought into gangs, socialized into that gang culture. I ask a question. With all the changes that are happening within the education system, please tell us what the plan is, not the national security plan, the education plan of how we are going to deal with these young people that are being preyed on by this negative part of our community. Once again, that's a question. Where's the plan? What are the details of the plan, and how will it be implemented? Because we cannot continue to lose our young people, and we're losing them younger and younger. The result is the death of these young Black Bermudians that we're seeing on a much too regular basis. But the damage is being done at 8 and 9. That is setting them up to not be a productive part of our society because of the impact that's happening to them at a very tender age. We need to know that there is a plan in place and that we have all of the resources that is needed in order to implement that plan, to change what's happening in our country so that we can be in a better place. One child loss is too many. But Madam President, if you go back and talk about the statistics over the 20 years, and I believe the 72 people that have lost their lives, but that number is much bigger than that. Look at the people that have left the country because of the impact of being part of this lifestyle. The parents that have lost their child, the husbands or wives that have lost their spouse, the children that are now impacted by the trauma of losing a parent. It continues on and on and on. So those are some of the questions that I'm asking. And Madam President, it is our job to continue to ask these questions and to seek the answers. And if we don't get the answers the first time, I'm going to have to keep reminding us that we're not getting the answers. We know that the situation that Bermuda's in right now is complicated. But it's not the time to pat ourselves on the back for all these wonderful things that we're doing when too many people are suffering. Far too many. Across our island. We all see the food banks. We see the articles in the paper. It's not just the gun violence, it's the knife violence. It's the continuous videos being sent around the island of people getting into fights and getting beat up and all the bullying and things that are happening in our community. It is continuous. How is our older population going to continue to be able to pay for their health care and buy food? Yes, it is important that there has been an increase in the pension, but at 2.5% or 2.75%, when the food increase is at 8.5%, we can freeze the gas price for a certain amount of time, but at some point that avalanche is coming. So we have to start to actually have an open conversation with our community. It's not about scaring them. It's about preparing them for what is needed for all of us to survive what's coming. The changes that are being implemented will take a long time. But the now, the present, that's going to be a struggle. We can't bury our heads in the sand and pretend it's not happening and try to blame it on somebody else and point fingers at each other and say it's their fault and this is what happened, because of a small amount of time that another party was in place. None of those things are going to matter when people don't have money in their pocket and they can't pay their bills. They're not interested in that. It's our job to come here and figure out how we can do better for our entire community and for the generations that follow. So, Madam President, I ask again that we can start to get the answers to the questions that are being posed in this Senate chamber and not just a note that's given to a senator weeks later, but a way for the community to know, because the questions we're asking are important. And they're being asked by not just the opposition senators, but also the independent senators, and they're going unanswered. The same way that you want to celebrate and pat yourself on the back for the successes, you have to stand up and answer the tough questions. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Van Smith.
Yes, thank you,
Mr.
Madam
Peets.
President. Thank you for an opportunity to close out our motion to adjourn today. I certainly want to thank senators who spoke earlier during the motion to adjourn. In particular, I want to thank my fellow senator colleague and Senator Darrell, particularly for his passionate motion to adjourn in reply to some of the things that we heard from our Honorable Senator Ducuto. I was making some notes, Madam President, just for my own sort of reflection, which also then turned into a little bit of humor. I actually lost track of how many things in the senator's motion to adjourn that were actually inaccurate. Not just misleading, but just obviously inaccurate. I'm certainly glad this morning to be a part of this Progressive Labor Party. Today's motion to adjourn really reminds me of some of the things that are in our election platform, which, in my opinion, of course, our social agenda is very, very progressive and is designed to affect those who are in need. And I know this government is working tirelessly every single day in conjunction with hundreds, if not thousands, of civil servants to bring this country into a better place. So I can say categorically across the board, any assertion that the Progressive Labor Party hasn't and will not take responsibility is categorically untrue. We are concerned about everything from fuel prices to the economy to universal health care, things regarding economic recovery plan, straight through to Southampton Princess bill, whether it be around sustainability or even to our parks. We have done an admirable job, in my opinion, in delivering on our promises to the people. I, for one, for example, have had a few conversations over the last couple of weeks since that mailer has gone out to the general public. Most of the individuals I've talked to and have reached out to me are actually happy to get some good news in the mail. We turn on our television, we turn on our radios, we hear bad news all the time, not just local news, but worldwide news. So to get some good news in the mail is certainly a step in the right direction. And I must add, of course, to the listening public, that comes at no additional cost to the taxpayers. But I want to focus in closing, Madam President. It's easy, of course, given the nature of our work, to get overwhelmed with some of the things that are making our headlines. And unfortunately, of course, a lot of negative things make our headlines, and sometimes we can become disillusioned and discouraged. But I was encouraged today, of course, particularly in the beginning of this motion to adjourn, on how senators actually highlighted what's happening with our youth in a positive way, particularly the graduates from Berkeley and Cedar Bridge, for example. I don't think it was personally pointed out by anyone in particular, but I believe, if my memory serves correct, I was there at the Cedar Bridge Academy graduation, and congratulations to all of those graduates. I believe the principal had indicated that this particular graduating class, the number of males graduating outnumbered the number of females. That, to me, is a huge, huge accomplishment, given some of the the problems and some of the issues that people around this country are facing. And I want to just encourage Bermudians who are listening that all is not lost. We have more people doing what's good and what's right and what's positive than we have people who perhaps have engaged in actions and behaviors that can consider to be antisocial. So I want to highlight in particular, of course, we have individuals who are part of, for example, like Future Leaders, who are doing a great job representing young people and doing positive things. We've got people such as from the Bermuda Youth Connect who are doing fantastic work as relates to helping young people engage in the civic process. We don't want to leave out, of course, all of the hundreds, if not more than hundreds of athletes out there who are positive, who are doing the right thing, who are engaging in the classroom as well as engaging on the field. We have people like in our creative, in our artists out there like Shanna Hollis and Jahardi Hassel, who are doing amazing things. So these are the types of things that I always try to remember and keep in the back of my head. These kids and these young people are doing fantastic things. Bermuda is in great shape as it relates to some of these young people that I've mentioned. So I don't want people who are listening today to be dismayed. I want them to be encouraged. This particular Progressive Labor Party has Bermuda's best interests at heart. We are dedicated, we're committed to completing our agenda as it relates to our election platform. And I think this country needs more good news. And the fact that we are able to deliver that good news to the people of Bermuda is an amazing thing. So congratulations to my colleagues in Cabinet. I can assure senators here today that we're not operating in silos. For example, I know myself and the Minister of National Security and the Minister of the Economy and Labor were working together as it relates to what we can do to continue to keep this synergistic sort of atmosphere so that we're working together for the betterment of Bermuda, particularly our young folk. So if you haven't gotten involved, for example, I certainly encourage individuals to go to youthpolicy.bm. Make yourself familiar with our youth policy goals. These goals have the best of what we can do for our country, particularly for our young people. And if you haven't gotten involved, there are ways that you can get involved, both small and great. And I believe that if we do that, we can certainly bring about some better outcomes. So, Madam President, I'm very, very encouraged today. And I thank you for this opportunity to speak to our motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Senator, the Honorable Dr. E.G.B. Peets, Minister and Government Leader in the Senate. Thank you. And thank you all senators who have spoken. Senators, we are now adjourned until July the 20th. And we thank you very much for